Get a little white girl wasted on some red wine.
Yeah.
The only country singer I know that I think they get white girl wasted on some red wine, bro.
I don't mind it.
That's hilarious. Well, we could just start here, man. It's good to see you.
Good to see you.
It is very good to see you. Thank you for coming back and doing this.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
I gotta say, man, you have been busting your ass lately. I'm seeing all the shows you're doing. We were talking like a week ago about some songs you're writing.
Mm-hmm.
Good for you, man.
Thank you.
Like, good for you for staying after it. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers,
you too.
man.
You've been out there grinding too.
Fucking
Same thing.
Dude, it is rough out here.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been, I think last time I was on here I was talking about making it a mission to perform more.
Yeah.
Because once I first started, I hated performing.
Hey, hold that thought. Man, I'm gonna take care of that whistling sound. Fucking rental companies suck. Sorry, I'm gonna cut you off.
You're good.
That's just gonna be in the back of the recording the whole time. Right in the sweet spot. It's like eating out a chick, dude. You gotta get it in the right spot. You just leave it alone,
You'll survive.
and it doesn't scream at you. All right. Anyway, all right, we're back. Sorry.
All right.
So yeah, rental companies fucking suck. I've put in a request to get that damn window fixed like
Really?
3 times because it doesn't latch in the middle.
Oh.
You know what I mean? So when
Yeah.
it doesn't latch in the middle, and our AC sucks anyway, as you can tell, it's hot as balls up here. So you latch it, and
It's not airtight.
because it doesn't latch,
Okay.
right? So it creates that little thing.
Yeah.
So I have to open it, let the air suck out of it, let it create a vacuum, and then let the curtains like suction
into it.
like suction onto it.
Yeah.
It's a pain in the ass. Anyway, so you've been focusing. Actually, thank you very much for the shirt.
Of course.
That's actually fucking badass. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, that's the artwork from my
So that's
album
the-
Steadfast.
So that's the back. See, dude, that's like these, and that's the front.
Heck
That is the type of shirt that I like. I don't like super loud shit.
Yeah.
Unless it's stuff like this, like bands I really love, and
Yeah.
even then it has to be black.
Yeah.
I like having the muted, like, minimalistic up front and then a design in the back. So this
Yeah.
is badass, dude. Thank you.
Yeah, I originally had like the full color. I'm giving away the process,
that.
but I had the full cover album, and then it's my first time ever making shirts. So they like sent it back to me, and it was gonna be like 2Gs with all the color palettes. And I was
Oh,
like, oh
yeah.
hell no! So I did black and white, and I was like, I actually like that better.
So are you going through, like, a website? Or...
I did go through a website. I
Okay.
forgot. I forget who it even was.
All right, if you want to save a little money, I'll put you in touch with somebody.
Heck yeah.
I'll put you in touch with somebody who's really good.
love
She
that.
she does all of my... Because that came out really well, but I imagine it kind of ran your bank a little bit.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll put you in touch with the girl that I have that does all my merch.
Heck yeah.
She, I do have merch. I just don't sell it because I'm
Yeah.
a fucking lazy piece of shit. But
Yeah.
no, the girl that does my merch, she basically like she takes profit on it, but not. It's not a heavy margin.
That's cool.
So anyway, so you've been performing a lot more.
Yeah, I think you had Edgar Wonder on here before.
Yep. Mhm.
And he's the leader of Monsoon Music, and he's that group's kind of put me onto a bunch of shows, and I'm
Nice.
very thankful for that. But I've been getting out there a lot. I think I've probably had like 5 or 6 shows in the past 2 or 3 months. Which
That's what's
I'm
up.
finally to the point where I'm actually like enjoying it, and I get to. Like last time I had a performance, we talk about the songs a little bit before we play them, and I could tell that, it was like the last song, so I'm like, all right, this last song's about the election. And then everybody was like, everybody was shocked. My parents were like, oh, dear God. I was like, no, just kidding. It's a love song. So I'm getting more comfortable up there being able to talk to the crowd and interact, which is fun.
That's funny.
Yeah.
It's a weird time to be alive, man.
Yeah. Heck
Fucking,
yeah.
this is gonna come out, I think two weeks or so from now.
Okay.
But we're filming the Monday after the. I mean, people want to spin it a lot of different ways, but
Yeah.
it's an assassination attempt.
Yeah.
That's what that was.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, just to open your phone and see that shit, it's like
Yeah.
we were half an inch away from something really bad.
Yeah.
Really.
Took a shot at
bad.
Trump Daddy.
Yeah.
He rolled it like a punch too. I remember because it was like saw I think it was on social media, the same like video where he like grabbed his ear, and I was like, what the hell? And so I Googled Trump, and then it was like alleged attack on Trump. And so I was like, and still I think the articles are the same way. And so I put my phone back, and then later that night I was like, no, they took shots at him. And
This episode of the podcast is brought to you by the amazing people over at Chop Chili Company. Guys, they are the original sponsor of this podcast, and I could not be happier to continue to be working with these guys. I get it. It's New Mexico. Everyone loves red, green, both. But this genuinely is my favorite brand of chili here in the state of New Mexico, and I love being able to partner up with these guys. They are absolutely phenomenal. Zane and the rest of the team at Chop Chili do an amazing job running that company, and they make an absolutely phenomenal product. And right now, they are running a very special promotional on their Instagram. Go check them out on Instagram. Go give them a follow. And as they post pictures with the hashtag Where's My Chili Challenge, if you can guess where in New Mexico that picture was taken, you can win not only free red or green chili, but also a free custom t-shirt directly from the company themselves. Again, go check them out on Instagram, give them a follow, check out their hashtag Where's My Chili Challenge. Win yourself some free chili, win yourself some free shirts. They are also available in Smith's, Albertsons, Sprouts, and a ton of other grocery stores in the state of New Mexico, as well as El Paso, and they are expanding out to West Texas. Again, thank you so much to Zane and the rest of his amazing team over at Chop Chili. Back to the episode.
All the craziness.
Amongst a lot of things in that situation, one of the concerning things in the very beginning of it was how obviously they claim that they're not, but the left-leaning media outlets were running things like Donald Trump fell on stage, or Donald Trump's speech was interrupted, or Secret Service halts speech. It's like, okay, no.
Yeah.
He got shot at. He almost got killed. And then I think now it's 2 people got killed.
Jeez. Oh, yeah, because one was in critical condition.
Right. I think that person ended up passing away. So now it's 2 people dead.
And that's what's crazy is like something like that happens in such a G moment where he gets up and fist pumps. That might be one of the coolest things I've ever seen. It's like UFC level stuff.
Did you see the video where they hot mic'd him and they picked up the audio when he's like, "Let me put my shoes on."
Yeah.
Let me put my shoes on. Like, hold on, wait a minute. Fuck you.
Yeah. You even got the picture too with the American flag in the back. I was like, man, I feel bad because 2 people lost their lives, and it's so crazy because it just gets in the news cycle, and then you like don't realize you're like, damn, 2 people lost their lives. And
well, then you still have retards like I saw this one dude, I think he's a streamer, I think his name is Dustin or some shit, where he's a big streamer type, and he was like, yeah, if you're a Donald Trump supporter and you get killed at the rally, I'm making fun of you the next day on Twitter. It's like, dude, shut the fuck up. First of all, I could be mixing him up with a lot of streamers, so they're all weird.
Yeah.
That's coming from a guy with a podcast, but they're all weird. But I'm pretty sure he gets cucked by his wife on a regular basis. Like, that's his thing. So it's like, shut up. Your judgment is not the best,
no.
A. And B, like, it is like, I joke about it, literally and figuratively, because that night I had a show. So I had to like, all right, what's going to be on everybody's mind?
Yeah.
And it's kind of my job to talk about what's on people's mind during the show. And I just flat out said it to the audience. I was like, you guys are getting to see a very unique thing that not a lot of stand-up audiences do. You get to see comedians make fun of big world events in real time.
Yeah.
And that's when it's really like the level of degree of skill. And my stuff was okay. It wasn't great.
I love that clip.
Oh, thanks.
Like I said, I was like, when was this? Because you could have done it before, and it was still kind of apparent. But yeah, that's the thing with comedy is timing's everything.
Yeah.
And I think comedy is like the comedy and music I think are so parallel. And I've even wanted to do shows where it's like mixed with comedy and music. And cause
don't let Buck D hear that. Oh, don't let him hear that.
I think it'd be a perfect setup because comedians go on first, and then once you're laughed out, then just some good music. But I always have the utmost respect for stand-up comedy because I think has to be, at least in my point of view, the toughest craft of performance, because when you're playing music, You just got to sound good. And if you sound good, people are like, oh, it sounds good.
Hey, that is easier said than done, my friend.
Well, yeah.
Have you seen a few of the people?
Yeah.
Ooh.
True. But with comedy, like me and my wife went to a comedy show not too long ago in Denver, and you're going into the show expecting to laugh.
I'll pull the mic up a little bit more. Yeah,
is that good?
Just aim it like right at your fucking face.
Sweet.
Yeah, you're good. Yeah, you're good. Who'd you go see in Denver?
Oh, what's his name? Jay Moore? I forget what his name is. He's got like a really viral clip going around of when he met the Foo Fighters guy, the one that has that. He was in Kangaroo Jack, and I hate that's all that I know him from. But
Is he a black guy?
no, he's a white dude, and it's kind of balling. Maybe I'll Google it.
Yeah, you're good.
But,
No, yeah, you're good.
Yeah, he. But we go, and I'm like, it's so surreal because you go in expecting to laugh, and I think the thing with comedy is the best comedy is unexpected. So now you've got this captive audience that's going up there and saying, make me laugh. And then on top of that, you've still got to make them laugh. So I've always had so much respect for stand-up comedians.
It's fun, dude. It's tough as shit. I'm not good at it, but it's fun. It's fun as shit. But yeah, man, like, it's weird. Because how old are you?
27. Just 27, 27
okay, so,
in June.
Oh, what day?
June 4th.
I'm June 9th. That's so weird.
Dang.
Okay, so
I have so many people I know that my immediate family, it's all June birthdays.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Parents got busy during Halloween, I think.
Yeah, trace that back 9 months and see what happened.
But it's just, so we're both 27. It's just the amount of like significant world events that we've lived through. It's really starting to stack up.
Yeah.
And it's not, none of them are positive. You know what I mean?
True.
It's like, yeah, we're living through the biggest technological
True.
advancement age ever, but that's only going to accelerate. You know what I mean? But you want the negative stuff to decelerate. Like, as the ability to have a comfortable life goes up, you would think violence would go down. You would think, right? But it's the exact, they're just running congruently. It's like, new iPhone, president's almost dead. Like, we're running congruently with these things, and I'm just like, what the fuck is going, can we not? Like, can we not? And then it's, obviously, we're not, by the time this comes out, we're going to have a lot more information in theory. But then when you start seeing things like, you know, there's this Secret Service sniper who, and I don't know how real this is, I need to look into it more, but I guess he had released some quotes on the internet because he got fired that day.
Yeah.
Because he
had the shot?
Well, so he had the shot, and he called it into his superior, and was like 2 minutes before the shots actually rang out. And he was like, hey, I've got a guy on the roof with a rifle. I need to take the shot. Is he one of ours? Is he one of, and they said, no, he's not. And like, can I take the shot? And they did not give him clearance to, right? Dude shoots at Trump. He's like, fuck it. Kills him. Shots ring out. All that stuff's happening. And I guess he got fired for killing the fucking sniper without permission.
Yeah. I thought it was because I didn't look into it. I thought he got fired because it happened, but no, that makes, if you're not giving the orders and you.
I'm proud to announce that the podcast is now officially sponsored by the amazing people over at High Desert Relief, a premier herbal destination right here in the state of New Mexico. They have extremely well-trained and knowledgeable staff that are more than happy to help you find what you're looking for or try something that you maybe have never thought of. They have 2 locations here in Albuquerque, 1 in Santa Fe. All 3 will be listed right here and in the description of this episode. All 3 offering legendary products at absolutely legendary prices, including this awesome merch that they were so kind enough to gift me here. All of this can be found at all 3 of their locations. Again, big thank you to the guys over at HDR for supporting. Now back to the episode.
Jeez.
Yeah, and then he was like, a lot of you guys, meaning like the internet, don't know all the details, but here's one of them. And he explained all that.
Yeah.
Well, then I think about it, and it's just like, well, I remember, like, because the flip side of something like that is, like, I remember when we were out overseas, we were in our guard towers, and we got positive ID on a bunch of people that we didn't know carrying AK-47s. And it's like, oh, do they mean to make us harm? Do they mean to, you know, open? And they didn't open up on us. They ditched them and ran away. But it was like, if one of our guys had ended up killing those people, they're in big trouble.
Yeah.
Now, it's a very different situations, but I just bring that up to say, like, rules of engagement are important. But in that situation, where you have a guy with a rifle aimed at the former president of the United States, front runner to be the nominee for the Republican Party, and probably going to end up getting elected.
Yeah.
You should probably take that shot.
Yeah. And one thing I can't stand is when the common folk like me, after, somebody who's never seen combat, like I remember after Sandy Hook, there was a school guard that was like outside of the main hall where the gunman was marching down, and he was getting death threats after because he got scared and didn't confront him. He waited outside of the door, and people were attacking him. And as one thing that I've said, I've been in some violent altercations enough to know you have no clue how you're going to react unless you've been through training.
Yes. However, I didn't know about Sandy Hook, but take Uvalde, right? Where the cops waited 45 minutes outside of the school to go in. A lot of people saying, oh, they didn't get the okay to go in, or they were scared, whatever it is. If you sign up for a job where there is a possibility of violence, you don't get to complain when there's violence.
Yeah, yeah, very true.
You don't get to. Like, that's like saying, it's like you doing music. It's like saying if you sign up to learn how to play music and your goal is to play live, and you understand what it means to play live, and you understand that some people might not like you live, and you go up there and you're playing and somebody yells, hey, you suck, you don't get to get angry about that. You just got to take that shit on the chin and keep going. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you're open, and when you open yourself up to opportunities, both negative and positive, you don't get to complain.
Yeah.
I mean, you can do something about it, but you don't get to like, oh, well, that's bullshit. I shouldn't have been expected to go into that school. Then why the fuck are you a security guard?
Yeah. Which you have experience with that, and I don't. Like, I don't have any experience confronting a person with a.
Well, neither
firearm.
do I. Neither do I. Like, full disclosure,
Okay.
it was National Guard when I went over. I was only over there for a few months, and I sat in a tower, and it was nothing. I'm not some fucking. I've never seen combat.
Yeah.
We just and when they did ID guys with AKs, they were like 2 towers down. So me and my buddy were sitting in our tower, like, is it go time? Like, is this when we like throw in our Kevlar and like douche? Yeah, because that shows you how like non-scaled it was.
Yeah.
We were sitting in guard towers without body armor.
Okay.
Yeah. We had our body armor off to the side, so it was hot as fuck. We're like, you know what? There's no threat.
Yeah.
I'm dying. You know what I mean?
The heat's gonna kill me quicker.
Yeah, no, for real,
Yeah.
dude. It got to the point so the flies were horrible over there. So during the day it was the flies, and at night it was the mosquitoes. Ooh. And we had these like giant industrial-sized fans, and it got to the point where it wasn't even for like keeping us cool, because at that point there was, you're just blowing hot air on yourself. But what we would do is we'd have to turn the fans on and stand in front of them while we ate, so the flies could not physically land on our food. It's so fucking stupid, dude.
That's crazy.
Anyway, yeah, it's a weird time to be alive, man.
Yeah.
It's a weird time to be alive.
It's like I've kind of gotten out of the whole, like, I never was really in it, but I kind of got out of the politics of like, I don't even know if I'm going to vote. I mean, I definitely would lean one side for sure, but it's just, I'm a big conspiracy theorist, and like I posted on my Instagram last night, I like to tell people that the earth is flat, because people get so mad at that. You come out and you say, well, the earth's actually flat, and they look at you like you're a terrorist and they want to kill you. And I'm like, that's one of my favorite things, and I'm starting to show that a little bit in music, which I'm kind of excited for, but my favorite thing is to make people mad. And so, like, now's the perfect time for that.
You're a white dude with short hair. That's a country music singer, bro. You are fitting the bill. You are checking off the box.
Yeah, and I'm pretty dang good at it, too. I've grown up my whole life. That's my one specialty, is I can make people mad like that. Because the second, like, my thing is, like, people get so sure of themselves. Yeah. And, because we've got the internet and you've got so much information, but we're in a weird point where there's so much information that you really can't prove anything, because like for every, I'm going to get so much flack for this, but for every article you could pull up about the earth being round, I could pull one up of the earth being flat. And I don't actually think it's flat, but I love arguing with people.
No, it's fun.
And it's such a crazy time. And I've gotten to a point where like I've learned to enjoy it. Like there's so much happening. It's moving so quickly that it's like, you see everything from, like you said, the technological advances to how our world around us affects music and how it affects comedy, and sports are a big thing with me, and like watching the UFC, like everything is just moving so rapidly that it really is. It's if you can pull yourself back, it's a very interesting and fun time to live in.
It's hard to pull yourself. At least for me, it is.
Yeah.
Brains work differently, obviously.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to not like want to be informed, and I don't like it sometimes. You know what I mean? So because sometimes, mainly happens I'm a little too stoned, but I'll be like laying down and I'm like, fuck, dude, like this is. This might actually be it.
Yeah.
This in 10 years' time, are we still around?
Yeah.
And if we are still around, what does it look like? Like, what does it really look like? You know what I mean? And then what really gets me, and I fucking hate that. I have TikTok out of necessity, but there are these videos that or these like not even videos that are slideshows that pop up on TikTok, where they're like nostalgic videos from like the 90s into the early 2000s. And it plays this it's the same song every time.
That eerie, like the old school, like eerie sound.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, fuck. Yeah, that world is, it's hard to say that world is dead because I don't even know if it was alive in the first place. Because you think about it, and it's like, okay, the late 90s, so that means it's after the second Gulf War. We're right before 9/11, but then if you get into the early 2000s, it's like, okay, 9/11's already happened. What were we all thinking about 9/11 at the time? What did we know about it? What didn't we know about it? What was considered at the time the fringe like opinion people? What were they saying that has mostly become true now? Namely, Alex Jones. God bless that guy.
Oh yeah,
God
so
bless
crazy.
that guy. Well, because he was talking about stuff like Epstein, the Saudis funding 9/11, all these different things. He was talking about that years and years and years. And it like one thing that was really funny when did you watch the debate with Trump and Biden?
I didn't. I just saw clips.
So there's a part in the debate where they're talking about abortion, and Trump brings up about how one of the left's, generally speaking, that one of the left's points about abortion is they're okay with abortion up to 9 months, and some members, like extreme members of the left, are okay with abortion after birth. And he specifically brings up it's this governor from either Missouri or from Michigan. I think it was Michigan. And he brings up how this governor very infamously went on this radio show. And he refers to it and he goes, just like the governor from Michigan was saying about how we just put the baby aside. We put the baby aside. And then he moves on from the conversation. The moderators don't touch it. Biden doesn't know what the fuck is going on, so he can't touch it. But I remember listening to that. And I was like, what did he just say? Because Alex Jones was bringing that up on his show. Like right when it was happening, but he was bringing that up on Rogan in like 2016.
Yeah.
And they bring up the video like in the episode. It's him and Eddie Bravo, and they're bringing it up, and they show the video, and the guy's talking on some radio show on Sirius XM, where he's like, "Yeah, we just put the baby to the side, and we'll decide to do what we want to do with it later." Because that all feeds into conspiracies about adrenochrome and like baby blood and all that crazy shit.
Yeah.
But it's like like you said, just pulling back from that.
Yeah.
But put away all the extreme shit. The fact that an elected anyone's saying that in general, but an elected official is saying stuff like, yeah, we can deliver the baby and put it off to the side. What the fuck do you mean put it off to the side? That's a human now.
Yeah, so ridiculous on so many levels, especially since there's so many great families that need adoption.
Right.
Like that, and it's so crazy. I didn't know about that until just recently, like how crazy expensive adoption is. Like, and I mean, it's just, with those arguments too, I'm like, can't we just trim the fat? Because there's extremes on both sides. Just trim the fat, but you can't, because then you're excluding people. And
what do you mean excluding people?
I think that's like it sounds bad, but like I've got some ridiculous takes on things. Yeah. But I get brushed to the side because my loved ones are good enough to say, Dustin, you're being crazy, and I go, all right, cool.
Yeah.
And you move on from it, and you get the people around you make you better. Some things it's okay to exclude people on because they're wild ideas, like killing a baby after they're born.
Right.
Pretty wild idea.
Horrible.
I think it's okay to just trim that fat and say, why don't you set this argument aside for a little bit and
let's
move on with it. Yeah.
No, I see what you're saying. Yeah, it's just, I don't know. Like, I don't know what's going on. I gotta be honest.
It's
like you can look into things, you can learn about what's going on, and I do my best to. But it's also like, is this really the world we live in?
Yeah.
Is this really it? Like, and I brought this up on my show Saturday night. Because I don't like people that do stand up that like grandstand and like say opinions and shit, and I try to turn it into a joke as the best that I could. You know, I don't like the virtue signaling shit, but something that I said, I was like, look, I'm not breaking any new ground, but there's what 350 million people in this country, and the best we can do is Trump and Biden.
Yeah,
like
so
I think
wild.
even like the most stout Trump supporters, at some level, they have to agree that he is not the best suited for this job. They have to agree on some level. We can probably find somebody better.
Yeah. Which
Like-
that's what with the most recent events is now those swing votes are for him because that's such a legendary moment and it evokes emotion into you. So I like so many people that I've already talked to is the ones that are like, I don't know. They're full board for him now.
Well, we were talking about it before we get started. Because like people can't see it on camera right now, but I have a certain picture on the wall now.
yeah. It is such a G shot.
It's
of
fucking
him.
crazy.
Yeah.
Like, first of all, that is gonna,
American flag in the back.
like you don't need campaign ads anymore.
No,
he doesn't need a single. All he has to do is run that with the national anthem behind it that just says, "I'm Donald J. Trump and I approve this message."
Yeah.
That's all you need. Because, like, look, regardless of how you feel about Trump, anybody who gets shot at, not even if you get touched, but if you just get shot at, and your first reaction while people are trying to drag you away is to leave with dignity, A, put your shoes on, and B, to tell them to wait, and you try to break out of the huddle. He's like, what, 74, 75?
Yeah.
So break out of the huddle, raise your fist, and say, fuck you. Now, all of that after you got shot. And these fucking idiots, dude, absolute morons. Oh, he only got shot in the ear. It's like, okay, so how about this? I'm going to shoot you in the ear, magically miss the back.
Well, you got to surprise them, too, because that's a big thing. You got to, I'll sneak up on you when you're in the grocery store and wing you.
Right. No, exactly. And then I don't know, like, what world people live in. Like, and I've been trying to think about it, where it's like, do people just think the brain only exists right here?
Yeah.
Like, it's back here. It's back here, too. So, like, the bullet could have easily hit his ear and gone into the back of his head.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't kill him, it causes absolute brain damage.
Yeah.
To where he's paralyzed from the neck down.
Yeah.
Or like whatever that back part of the brain control. I don't know what it controls, but I know there's a brain back there. So you see what I'm trying to say?
Yeah. You fall. Like, you might take a fall and you're bleeding from somewhere.
Yeah.
There's a little part in my head in those first 3 seconds that I go, am I dying?
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh no, I just scraped my elbow. Let alone on your head, you got blood coming out.
Well, the natural human response to getting shot is, I need to get the fuck out of here. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. But it's the principle of fighting that thought back and saying, you know what? No.
Yeah.
I'm going to show these people what I'm made of. And his first thought is saying, because he wasn't saying fuck you to the shooter.
No.
He was saying fuck you to whoever put the shooter up to this.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, bitch, you missed.
Yeah.
I'm still alive.
Yeah. Well, and like what I was saying with that shooter with Sandy Hook, like that, unfortunately, it happened in that situation, but he learned really quickly, probably shouldn't be a security guard anymore.
Yeah.
Trump, like in those situations, I think you learn really quickly who people are. And, both, he very easily could have just been walked off stage and it's like, whatever, he got shot. But you learned, like I said, he's got that dog in him. He's going to stand up and he's going to get the people back on his side when pure chaos is going on.
Have you seen the movie Civil War?
I haven't.
Have you seen that yet?
No.
Okay, you need to see it.
Is it good? I've
very
heard mixed
good.
reviews on it.
I watched it for the second time last night.
Is it scary?
Like it's unsettling.
Okay.
It's unsettling because you're watching Americans kill Americans.
Ooh, so I'll watch it without my wife. Is what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
She doesn't like the Black Mirror stuff, and
you're watching Americans kill Americans. Like, because it's one thing if it's like Red Dawn or it's like all the movies that came out during the War on Terror, where it's like, okay, it's the others, the other people, it's the other country, it's the what? Oh, they're invading us. We need Patrick Swayze to go kick their ass, Roadhouse style. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's dope. That's one, like Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Love it every time.
Yeah, Arnold Schwarzenegger in Commando killing a bunch of gangsters to go get his daughter back. Like, that's one thing.
I love those movies.
Yeah. No, they're badass, right? But Civil War is a Civil War. Like there's a scene in the very beginning. It's very well written too. Like the guy who wrote the movie, he wrote 28 Days Later. He wrote Annihilation, and he wrote Ex Machina, the AI movie. Did you ever watch that?
Yeah, Ex Machina is
Yeah.
an amazing movie.
Yeah, he wrote and directed that too.
Okay.
And Alex Garland, absolutely brilliant guy. But there's a part in the very beginning of the movie where the main characters are traveling and they stop at a gas station to get gas, and there's these people guarding it. So as they're filling up, the young, because it's all based around photojournalists, like war journalists. So the younger one, she goes, "Hey, I saw something. I'll take a picture of it." She leaves, and you know how there's like with gas stations, there's like those like you pay for it yourself and you drive through car washes.
Yeah.
It's like they're very like almost pillbox style.
Yeah.
So in that, the guys that were guarding the gas station, they have 2 looters strung up. Ooh. And they're like bloodied and like they've got like horrible like cuts and gashes and black eyes and like bleeding from all parts of their body. They're fucked up, like on the edge of death. And one of the dudes follows the girl down with his rifle and he's talking to her and he goes, "Yeah." And she goes, "Who are these guys?" And, "Yeah, they're looters." And she's losing her mind. She's so scared, right? He goes, "Yeah, they're looters." And I don't know what to do. We don't know what to do with them yet. Do we leave them? Do we keep hurting them? I could put rounds on them right now. What do you think I should do?
Yeah.
What do you think? And he's like fucking with her, and she started to cry and shit. And he goes, "You know, it's funny. I knew this guy. One of the guys that's strung up. He goes, yeah, we went to high school together. Didn't really talk to him, but he's been talking to me a lot recently." And it's like, Jesus Christ, man. There's like, I don't want to spoil it for you. There's more things that happen.
Yeah.
And because of the way it's shot and the way, dude, obviously you don't have this opportunity now because it's out, but like I saw it in theaters.
Okay.
The sound it's still pretty good if you have a good like a good subwoofer and a good sound bar. But the sound design is incredible.
Really?
Like I saw it even like last night watching it, like the gunshots sound like real gunshots.
Really?
In the theaters it was so fucking loud.
Jeez.
It was like, can we stop shooting guns?
Yeah.
Like, this is making me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like, can we fucking not?
Yeah.
Like, it's scary, dude. It's very unsettling.
One thing that I've like learned is that there's no way to not look crazy and then bring up prepping to your family. Because there was a point where I was like, you know what? It might be good to just have a big bag of rice, a lot of beans, a lot of Spam.
Yeah.
And then just tuck it away.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, how do I do that without scaring my wife?
No, that's a smart thing.
Yeah.
No, you should have that anyway.
Well, because this is going to sound crazy too. A little part of me wants to live in a dystopian society because I love those movies.
No, you don't.
Maybe I think for like a week until stuff gets real. But
listen, man, those posts. First of all, let's assume it's not even nuclear war. Let's say it's a giant EMP that knocks things out, and that's how we go back to how we go to Soviet society, dude. Post-apocalypse America. World, but for us, post-apocalypse America, it's raping and killing.
Oh yeah,
that's all it is.
Yeah, see, I'm out.
And listen, man, you got a real pretty face. You're fucked. All right,
I'm a big dude though, so nobody's touching my butt. I promise. I guarantee that.
but you see what I mean?
Yeah,
like
That's what I'm not sticking around. I'm not looting. That's why I'm like and there's no good way to say it without sounding crazy, but I'm like, I'm not making a last minute Walmart trip when everybody's looting. Yeah. I want to get the stuff and get out of town. Yeah. But then, like, the other day, I was, like, kind of introducing it to my family. I was like, we need a meetup spot. Like, I'll go grab Grandma, you go grab... And then they're like, what are you talking about? And
no, that's a smart thing to say.
And I'll get a location where I'm like, okay, we're pretty far out of the way, and I've got a spot, won't disclose where, but where I think, like, you'll see anybody coming for a while, and nobody's around. So if anybody's coming... Yeah, at least have a warning.
There's nothing wrong with that. And so, like, the whole prepping and doomsday thing, like, it has a bad stigma because of the TV shows, right? But if you think about it for longer than 30 seconds, any sane person is like, "What? Okay, here's a great example. COVID. COVID happened. The lockdowns happened. What is the first 2 things people went for?
Oh, yeah.
It was toilet paper and ground beef.
Yeah.
That is what everybody went for. Well, I guess like packs of water too. Yeah. But that was the main thing. That's what hit the news because I think it was the funniest thing to say. It was like toilet paper's gone. It's like it was funny, dude. I remember right when all that was kicking off, there was a website that went viral where it told you, like, okay, how many pieces of toilet or how many rolls of toilet paper do you need? And it was like an equation you put into like okay, how many people live in your home? How many times do you guys shit a day? How often do you think that you wipe a day? Or,
Yeah.
or how often do you think you wipe when you shit? Do you double lap or double wrap? Do you like all this stuff?
Yeah.
And it like breaks it down. And I remember I did it, and it was like, one pack of 12 rolls of toilet paper are going to last you 6 months. And I was like, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But then you see people hoarding, right? And they're going to Costco and getting like the 28 packs.
You're like, I need
and they're getting,
400
like-
rolls.
Yeah, exactly. So just take that as an example.
Yeah.
How people freak the fuck out.
Well, all it takes is the freezes out in Dallas a couple of years back, where people were dying because they were lighting fires inside of their living room.
Yeah, all of Texas.
Yeah.
Well, not all of Texas. It was like Dallas and South, right?
Yeah.
Because I know Austin got hit with it. I think San Antonio got hit with it. But yeah, because
And
they're
it's
all
that simple. It's just losing power, and then your whole world is changed because your plumbing's going to stop. Everything in your house is going to stop. I just pray that it doesn't happen in the summer because I can't handle the heat.
I would rather it happen. I hate the heat, but I'd rather it happen in the heat because here's why. The plumbing stopped because it froze, and there was nobody making it out there to fix it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I'd rather deal with the heat, kinda, but then it also gets to the point where dehydration's a thing,
Yeah, true.
right?
Yeah,
It's like politics. There are no deals. There are compromises.
Yeah. Yeah, my wife was like, I don't like Spam. And I'm like, I think that's going to be the least of our our palate is going to be the least of our worries if we're whipping out the Spam and beans. So it'll keep us alive.
That's what I'm saying, dude. Is like if you talk to people about it for longer than 30 seconds, any sane person is going to realize how smart that is.
Yeah.
I was telling my buddy about it, how like, hey, we should probably invest in like there's like civilian versions of MREs. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, we should probably get some of those because they have a shelf life of 15 years. Let's just pull some money together 1 month, buy 2 tubs of them, and put them away. You know what I mean? And we have guns, we have all that type of shit. But yeah, there is not an issue with having resources because
It's just scary.
Well, because then it's like let's say something like COVID happens, not even anything life threatening.
Yeah.
But just something where things shut down again. Because that's now on the table. Like, as far as I'm concerned, that's on the table now. You know what I mean? Like, they've done it before. They can do it again. You know what I mean? Now, it's going to be met with a lot of violence.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Different parts of the country. It's going to be met with violence. So it's like, fuck you. I'm not going to... No.
Yeah. I've been getting videos about the plague popping up. And I'm like, no, not again.
Yeah, okay.
I'm like, it's treatable now. Like, we're good.
Yeah, but that's like... I think there's like something like 50 cases of the plague a year.
Yeah.
It's one of those
people are so scared. You see the plagues popping up, and it's gonna go viral. And now all of a sudden, it's all over people's things. And I'm like, please stay calm. I don't want to be doing trigonometry to buy toilet paper again. Luckily, I'm a nicotine fiend, and I know some gas stations that weirdly sell toilet paper. Nobody's ever in them, so I was literally buying toilet paper from gas stations. But I'm like, please. I'm like, it's okay. The plague, it's treatable, and it's like 50, like you said, and it's from animals. Yeah. I don't think it's even very easily passed from human to human, at least what they were getting. But
I'm not sure, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm not a doctor.
Yeah, neither am I. But yeah, I don't know, man. And I would disagree with you about it going viral on social media and shit like that. But fucking a couple of my buddies I'm in a group chat with. They sent this art, or he sent me a picture, or the chat a picture, where he didn't even know Trump got shot. He just like woke up from a nap, went to the grocery store, and it was all cleaned out. And he was like, "What the fuck is?" Now he was in Chattanooga, Tennessee, I think. But he was like, "What the fuck is going on?" And he opens his phone. He's like, "Oh shit, that's crazy."
I need to because last thing I'm thinking when something bad happens is to get into a grocery store. Maybe I need to rewire myself, but I'm like, that blows my mind. Where something bad happens, they're like, I'm gonna go buy all the waters, and well, it's because they don't have a supply left, and that's what I want to avoid. But
yeah, I don't know, man. It's we live in a different world post COVID, and honestly, that's one of the things that I disagree with Trump on the most is how he handled COVID in the beginning. Now, Biden definitely dropped the ball. He didn't even pick it up. He just dropped it and just kicked it down the road.
Yeah,
and they just kept punting it down the road until they made it to another stadium. You know, it was terrible how the way it was handled in general. But that's for me, that's on the table now. So I was like, yeah, you know what? Maybe next time we go to Costco, packs of water are $3.99. Maybe get 2.
Yeah.
They got pals of them now. They're making them in mass.
Yeah.
Maybe get 2. You know what? Maybe throw some meat in the freezer.
Yeah, get some jerky.
Yeah,
Jerky's good too for all the people out there because you can throw it into some rice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, get some jerky. You know what? Maybe go buy a shotgun.
Yeah.
Shotgun.
That was the thing too, is you couldn't even buy ammo during COVID. And I was
Nope.
like, it's so
Well, my uncle, he used to run this gun store down, or like co-run this gun store down in Alabama. He's like, hey man, because I wasn't like home at the time. I was in Texas. I was in Fort Bliss, and he was like, hey man, I know you're not home right now, and you can't have ammo on base. However, you should really buy ammo online right now and get us into one of your buddies because it's about to get bad. And I was like, what's going on? And this is like very beginning of March, like March 2nd, March 3rd or some shit. And he's like, dude, all of our suppliers have stopped sending us bullets to sell because they're sending them all to the police force, the police stations. And I was like, oh no. Well, that's not good.
Yeah. And that's like what you, those are the things where it's tough to pull myself out of, because then you start going through these. And so it's like, though, especially with COVID, you couldn't pull yourself out of it because it was your life. You couldn't, you had to wait in a line, go into a grocery store. You couldn't eat at your restaurants. You
had to watch the news to figure out if you were allowed to go make money that day.
Yeah.
Like, how do I put this? There is a very great privilege of living with America, but the downside of it is it has especially today, for a lot of people, it's a lot of built-in ignorance, where it's like, this can never, like, or they think that like, oh yeah, this way of life, like especially like post-COVID, this way of life that we have, electricity, indoor plumbing, mostly peaceful environment. You know, I can go to work, I make money, I do this, the American dream, whatever that means to you and the people you care about, the American dream. That's not going to go anywhere. We're going to be okay. It's all fine. What are we talking about? And then it's like, oh, COVID happens.
Yeah.
BLM riots, stuff like that. And it's like, oh, yeah, no, all of this can go away quickly. Very quickly. Very quickly. And, I bring all this up because, like, when you say things to people like, that's totalitarianism. No, that's what a dictator looks like, or dictatorship looks like. Oh, no, that was an assassination attempt. People look at you like you're crazy. It's like, oh, not here. That's really what they mean, right? When they're telling you, like, that's not true. It's like, no, that's not what it was. It was just them doing the right thing. It was like, oh, no, it was just their job. They were just doing their job. It's like, oh, how well is the term "I'm just doing my job" worked out in history? Yeah, you know what I mean. So it's like when you see stuff where for COVID, it's like you had to watch TV or listen to the radio or go on social media to wait for your local government to tell you whether or not you can go to work that day. Yeah, when you can go to the grocery store, when you can go see a movie. That is totalitarianism. Yeah. Are they wheeling you off to death camps? No. Yeah. But are they controlling your lives a lot more than they should be? Yes. Yeah. Especially when it's stuff like, hey, you can't work today. Or, hey, small business owner that's like, you know, you're barely making it by. Yeah. You're making a 10% profit on everything you do. You can't open today.
Yeah. That's it. Because like, they don't have cash on them. And,
no, of course not. Like, I remember I used to work at...
The big companies do, and they were fine, but everybody else was just a big FU to them.
Oh, of course they did. Yeah. Because those companies, like those small mom and pops, most of them don't have the infrastructure to do online... Like, a lot of them, like, make their business through online stuff, like exposure and shit like that, but not a lot of them are not going to be able to send stuff like that, like
Amazon
does.
Getting people to work during those times was just...
They can't pay as well as other places can. They get swallowed up. Like, I remember I worked at a restaurant on the east side of town for a very long time growing up, and I remember I was talking with the owners, and I think they told me that at the time anyway, and this is like 2017-ish. Yeah, 2017. Like, yeah, the average restaurant in Albuquerque right now that is doing well, they only make like a 20% profit, 25% profit. They are not making a lot of money in general. So, and that's not even the chains, like the local restaurants that are like the staples of Albuquerque. And so now I can't even imagine what it is. Yeah. I mean, with prices hiking the way they are. And
everything's so expensive.
Like, it is $30 for a fucking hot and spicy at McDonald's, dude.
Yeah. That's what I was like, I couldn't wrap my head around spending like $15 on a meal, going out to lunch every day or whatever, like just eating. And so I was like, all right, well, I'll go to McDonald's. And so went to McDonald's for like 3 days, and I was like, damn, it's like $11 too. Like, that's still crazy expensive. So I I started getting the banquets from the grocery store, the little TV dinners.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll get a hot dog because they've got the hot dogs pre-made, and I'm like, there we go, $2 for lunch, and I'm good to go. But it's one thing that I was like, that I don't think people realize, because I think some people think it sounds egotistical, but me, my wife, and our friends were lucky enough to go out to Europe last year, and I think it's really trendy to say that like the USA is not the center of the world, which I don't think it is. There's so much life.
Check the cameras and shit. All right, keep going.
It's, there's so much life and amazing things outside of the USA. But once we got out, you realize that everything really is centered around the USA. Like their pop culture was all fueled from the United States. They're listening to the United States top 100 songs, and it's I'm not trying to be egotistical, but the United States is a really big part, probably the majority part of the world economics. So if something happens here, it's affecting everywhere else. So it's almost like another weight too of like, if we're not taken care of here, that's not only going to affect us, that's going to affect so many lives outside of the country.
Okay, so I know it was a thing during the Revolutionary War, and I believe it was something during World War II as well, where America was referred to as the shining city on the hill, right? Well, okay, so the shining city on the hill was a theory during the Revolutionary War, during the Revolution, and it resurged during World War II due to the horrific things happening with the Third Reich. And whether people like it or not, and it's started slowing to dwindle away, and people are going to really start to understand the value of America being like the model that people look to. Like, do you remember in 2019, 2018, when the revolution was going on, or not revolution, but there were a lot of protests going on in Hong Kong?
Oh, yes.
Remember that?
Yeah.
And there were all those posts coming out. It was like, be the America Hong Kong thinks you are. Because they were like protesting in the streets, like, we want to be like the United States. We want to be like the United States. It's like, where do you think that fucking comes from?
Yeah.
And I know we're having a lot of immigration issues with other countries sending people over here to do horrible things, and that's a whole other can of worms.
Yeah.
But like, there are also still a great amount of people trying to come into this country legally or illegally, trying to come over because they understand that this is kind of the best it's gonna get.
Yeah.
Like, no matter, like, whatever standard America is at, this is about as good as it's going to get.
Yeah.
And if we start to falter, again, case in point, I think there is a very strong argument for, with Biden's leadership abilities and his lack of display of power, his lack of display of strength as the president of the United States, most powerful position in the country, or in the world. Again, that's not if you put on the tinfoil hat and think about the deep state and shit like that.
The lizards running it
Yeah.
all. Yeah.
Yeah. But, I really don't think what happened in Israel would have happened under Trump.
Yeah.
But it happened under Biden.
Yeah.
I'm turning that fan back on. Holy fuck. It's hotter than dick up here, dude. Holy God.
Yeah. That's, again, I was out of the loop on that, and people would ask my opinion, and I'm like, I'm a 27-year-old dude in the United States. I don't think you should be listening on my opinion about Israel. But I'm like, doesn't this happen? I'm like, this happens every 7 years. And I'm like, if we want to, like, if we're going to be honest, I'm like, this is an area that has been at war forever. Yeah. And, like, even, like, people don't know the history that is the Israel area. Like, even, I'm like, guys, these are the people that killed Jesus. Or we're in that, I'm like, if we just want to put it into perspective, like, believe it or not, like, it is historical data that they killed Jesus.
So, okay, yes, but that's not the reason why you should not like Israel.
No, I'm not saying it, but I'm like,
that's
this
wild.
I'm like, it's a sticky situation, and I'm like, a 27-year-old dude from Albuquerque is not going to figure it out.
Maybe they don't have the best judgment.
Yeah. I'm like, they're pent up over there. And, we get the news cycle through, most of the time it's TikTok.
Well, here's my thing. And I think this is the point you were getting at. It's easy to say, yeah, it's complicated. But because of social media, things have to be black and white. People think it's like that. It's either one way or the other way. It's like, no. We can walk and chew gum at the same time. Easiest point being, people, it's accepted now.
Yeah.
It's very accepted now that Germany got the shit end of the stick after World War II or World War One with the Treaty of Versailles, and how that bankrupted the country. It ruined their infrastructure. They were going through one of the worst depressions, economic depressions that any country has ever gone through, which is what led to the rise of Hitler, led to the rise of the Third Reich, and then Holocaust happens.
Yeah.
Because they were a small country in desperation, and this one guy who was a really great speaker was able to convince them of very horrible ideologies, and that's what happened. That's kind of accepted now, right? Is like, look, nobody is saying what the Third Reich did was good. Well, sane people, right? Right? Sane people are not saying that what they did was good or acceptable. But you can understand and you can see the breadcrumb trail that led to the German anger. Does it justify the Holocaust? Never. Does it justify hatred towards Jewish people? Never. But you see how that stuff happened.
Yeah.
So you take that logic and you apply it to the situation in the Middle East right now between Israel and Gaza. Is it okay what Hamas did on October 7th of last year? No. Not at all. It is not okay. However, is it okay for Israel to be having these people, and I hate saying the word open air prisoners because it's gotten so politicized now, but keeping them where they're at for a long period of time, you know what I mean, and not really moving towards a two-state solution, not really allowing them to leave, is that okay? No. And if any other like civilized any other civilized community got entrapped like that, they would probably fight back too.
Yeah.
Does it make it okay? Does it make killing civilians okay? No. But you see why these things happen.
Yeah. Well, and it's historical because you look at, I mean, thing with ISIS is the only reason that ISIS came to power was because we got rid of the other power, and it creates a vacuum. And that's what I fear of, like, you know, it's like because like you said, it's black or white, and people pick a side, and that's the side that I'm on, and all right, well, I'm on this side, and it's like, it's not, like you said, you should probably be moving towards peace. You should be moving to how do we, you know, fix this, because if you get rid of one group, it's just going to create a vacuum.
Yep.
And then, like you said, then you're going to have a maniac rise to power, or you're going to have somebody come in and take control, or, you know, there's very few instances throughout history where a guy comes and says, we should remove this group of people, and then that works out well.
Right, exactly. With very few exceptions, right? Obviously, like, the Nazis are one.
Yeah.
It's like, get rid of them. That's probably in the best interest.
Yeah.
I don't like comparing anybody to the Nazis, but, like, Hamas, they're not comparable to the Nazis at all, in my opinion. I don't think they are at all. But, you know, getting rid of Hamas would be a good thing. But on the other hand, it's like, well, how do you do that? How tough is it to do that? Are you really going to send in Israeli forces, you know, to clear out all of Gaza?
Yeah.
That's not realistic. And I think it's like, God, 3 months ago, I think they were saying, like, it's going to take 70 years to completely rebuild Gaza. It's like, fuck.
Yeah.
Fuck.
That was one of the craziest things, too. When we went to Europe, like, we were in Italy, and we also were in Germany for a little bit. And there's still, you know, signs of World War II in those places, and they kind of gloss over it. And there'll be people will ask on, like, the little tours that you go on. They're like, "Why is that wall broken down?" They're like, "Well, in the 1940s, there was erosion." I'm like, "Erosion's a funny word for what happened to that building." Like, you know,
dude, a really, really good movie. It doesn't sympathize with the Nazis, but it just shows the psychology. It's called The Zone of Interest. It's an A24 movie, and it was made in England, I want to say. I want to say it's a British film, but it's all in German. So you have to watch it in subtitles. And it's about this guy who becomes, like, in the film, and it's 100% true story. It's about this guy who eventually ascends to being the commandant of Auschwitz. And it's like a slice of life type movie. So it shows him, like, right before he gets the promotion, and it's like how it affects his family. And then, like, it's crazy because his house, it shows, like, it looks like an American 1950s, 1940s house, where it's like beautiful house, 2 stories, white picket fence, back lawn, backyard with a pool, swing set, and like playground setup shit for the kids. They have picnic tables for family and friends to come over. And then there's this fucking wall. And then over that wall is Auschwitz.
Jeez.
Is a fucking death camp. So there's scenes where like they'll be having like a lunch party in the backyard. And you hear the engines turning of the incinerators. Or you hear like gunshots and screaming. Or like there's a part in the movie towards the beginning where like he gets the promotion, and there's a part where they might have to leave, like might have to move their house, and the wife is complaining, and they're like, "We have to leave. We love this house. The children love this house. You're uprooting their lives." And as they're like going back and forth, you're hearing screaming.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, That's
so wild.
It is an incredible movie.
Jeez.
Because as the dude, I don't know how real this part is. 'Cause I haven't read the book it's based on. And I haven't looked into very much of that guy. But as the movie's going on, I think it takes place over the course of like 6 or 8 months.
Okay.
And as the movie's going on, it starts kind of weighing on him, like what the death camps are doing to people, and like because they have like Jewish servants in the home.
Jeez.
Yeah, and like the movie opens up with like there's a meeting going on and they're like discussing about who they're going to promote to be the commandant of Auschwitz, and then they're also discussing, and they're very like proud and boisterous about it, and they're like they're discussing the upgrades to the death camps to make them more effective. Yeah,
So crazy.
it's insane.
And the ultimate just doing my job people.
Exactly.
Right there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I don't obviously compare like Hamas to those people. Obviously, they're not as organized, they don't have the capabilities, they don't have the technology, but that's an excuse for the fuck they're doing.
Yeah.
But anyway, to wrap all this point up, people get so latched onto the idea that it has to be black and white, and it's not. There's a lot of gray area, unfortunately, and it takes two to tango.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
and with almost every atrocity, you can see the breadcrumb trail that led to that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It's very concerning. It's the same thing with like the Trump attempted assassination, where it's like, do I think any single news anchor or any single anti-Trump person is at fault for that? No.
Yeah.
Of course not. However, the liberal media like apparatus as a whole,
That's weird.
Not for nothing, but what do you think? What, almost 8 years now of Trump is evil, Trump is Hitler, Trump is the devil, he needs to get removed. There's clips now going viral of like different news anchors and interviews on their sites over the last 8 years, or their stations, where they're like, there needs to be violence in the streets. When fucking in 2015, 2016, when Kathy Griffin or whatever the fuck her name is went viral because she held a picture of a decapitated Trump head.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
So it's like, where do you think all this leads to? Now, this is obviously removing like, who hired the shooter, who put him up to it, because we know. It's a fact now. We know that Trump's intelligence agencies who actively worked against him, we know that now.
Yeah.
Everyone knows that now. So it's like, well, did the deep state try to take him out? Did they not try to take him out? So, but even removing that, say it was a lone gunman, whatever, who got radicalized.
Yeah.
It's like, what do you think all of this narrative leads to? Because that's how you also have these people that are saying wild shit like, "Oh, I wish it would have happened," or, like, and quite frankly, I'd be saying the same thing if it was about Biden. But the only difference is nobody. I don't want to say nobody's. I'm sure there are people, but you'll never turn on Fox News and see shit about or see people like you've never seen Tucker Carlson say like, there should be violence against Biden.
Yeah.
Or you'll never see something about them where it's like, there should be riots against Biden.
Yeah.
Or even like riots against, like, 'cause remember like back during the Obama administration, like even like when we were kids, there was talk about like, is Obama going to get assassinated?
Yeah.
Is he going to get lynched? Because there were a couple of heavy right-wing mobs with some real racist shit. So I was like, is that going to happen? But it never did. So and we'll never know the full answer.
No.
But this is like, the conspiratorial part of my brain.
Yeah.
Where it's like...
It's so fun.
What finally made, the proverbial trigger pull against... is Trump that big of a threat to the system?
Yeah.
Because I hate to quote this guy. Because I like most of what he says. I know a lot of people don't. It was something that Andrew Tate was talking about like a year ago.
Oh, Andrew Tate.
Yeah, where he was like, no, if you get famous enough... And if you get powerful enough that the deep state and that the system, that he calls it the matrix, but if these people don't want you around, you have 3 chances. They try to cancel you, try to get you out of the way. They already tried that with Trump a million different times. And they try to jail you. And if that doesn't work, they try to kill you.
Yeah. Yeah, we're there.
And he was saying that not even a year and a half, like 2-3 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's like, what?
That's what that's why I'm like, my dream scenario would be to have 1, maybe 2 albums that do good, make some decent money, and then I'm like, all right, cool. Because any bigger than that, like one of my favorites right now is Zach Bryan, and he is like, we went to a show in Denver, and he's selling out stadiums, and my friend showed us to him when he was tiny.
Yeah.
And he was still in the Navy when
I was saying he's the guy who used to be in the Navy, right? Yeah.
Yeah, he was the first one that was honorably discharged because of his music since Elvis, which is such a cool stat. But,
yeah, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, and he seems like such a cool dude, but he posted with like kind of same thing that most mid people are saying. He's like, I'm not for Biden or Trump, but he's like, that was badass. So he stood up and fist pumped. And then he took his Twitter down the next day because he was getting so much hate for it. And I'm like, God, that would be,
That's
there's
what
like,
he took it down over. That's crazy. Because wasn't he getting shit for like being a racist or some shit?
I don't think he was. He's pretty like you
or
can
maybe
tell.
Maybe it was like a transphobic thing he said, or transphobic comment or joke that he made.
He and that's what you get to as big as he is, because he got flack for still selling Bud Light at his concerts, and he's like, guys, I've been drinking Bud Light my whole life, like it's just, I don't care, and so it's like you get to that point where you're big, everything's a statement, and I'm like, if I was in my wildest dreams, if I got that big, first week I'm out. Like I say stupid crap all the time, like as you just saw, like I make some wild comments, and I'm the most like, I don't take hard stances on anything just because I'm a curious person.
See, and that's like, do I wish...
I do take hard stances on actually a lot of things.
Yeah.
But
I can see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. But, there's a part of me that's like, I wish I could snap my fingers and get really good at stand-up and become like a bigger podcaster. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I wish I could have that, just to have the skill.
Yeah.
And just to have the skill of being a great stand-up. You know what I mean? Like a great one. Like like well-regarded as like, yeah, that fucker's funny. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. On the other hand, one of the reasons I appreciate the slow burn and the process of coming up and getting better and getting more skilled, and it takes time, is like, I don't know a lot of celebrities that truly got instantly famous.
Yeah.
Not the perceived overnight bullshit, but like truly overnight famous, just popped out of nowhere. Like, and a lot of it happens with like child actors and child stars.
Yeah.
That don't turn out okay. You know what I mean? Because you can't go from like a life like this. Like, I'm not saying that I don't have a bad life.
Yeah.
Like, especially living conditions wise. I have a very good one. And I've also worked my ass off for it.
Yeah.
But I'm very appreciative, and I'm very lucky, and I'm very blessed to have what I do. But I don't have $100,000 worth of assets.
Yeah.
Let alone money in the bank.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I've never seen $100,000 in one place ever.
Yeah.
But if God like picked me up and plopped me into a millionaire's lifestyle, I don't know if I could handle it.
No, and
you know what I mean?
I've said that with winning the lottery too, because I'll buy lottery tickets now and then. You always talk like, if I won, I'd do this. And I was thinking about it, and I was like, I don't know if I'd want to win the lottery, because like I'm such a competitive person that the process is finally becoming fun to me. And I think it's because I've spent a lot of work, and I've spent hours and hours on the guitar and singing, to where I'm like at a point where I'm like, I kind of like where I'm at right now. Like, I like singing to the people that are coming to my shows, and I like recording music. But like, if, like you said, if you won the lottery, I would have this imposter syndrome of like, I didn't do anything to get that.
I don't think you would lose the love for music though.
No, and that's what...
Obviously, winning the lottery or getting millions of dollars would be a net positive. But I know, like, because of my own ignorance of how to live that lifestyle properly, like, 'cause I work right now. How do I put this? Like, I go to a money management company that I trust, and I put like $50 a month, and they put into a portfolio for me, and they've shown me what the plan is, and I trust them, and I'm like, okay, sounds good, right? If I got that much money, I would immediately go to them and be like, hey, I'm now your priority. I have $400 million to my name.
Yeah.
What the fuck do I do with all of this?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Now, granted, obviously that would free me up to do everything that I love in life.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's a matter of true, like, discipline, and, like, that's when you find out how mature are you really.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. If I won the lottery right now,
know what
step
I mean?
one is to get into some hoodlum activities right off the bat. I know myself, and, like, I could lie and be like, well, I'm going to start no, first things first. I'm getting the people close to me, and we're going to go get into some trouble. Like, right off the bat.
I can finally do drugs. I can afford rehab right off the bat.
Yeah. Step two. That's usually how it goes too, is like, you know, people are always like, I'm like, you're a liar. You're going to go and you're going to tie one off and you're going to have fun for a little bit.
You're gonna tie one off.
Yeah. I'm like, think of step two, because you're not fooling me with anything. But I would love nothing more than if I got money and I'm like, I'm going to go see a financial advisor. I'm not going to do that. As soon as this money's in that account, we're going somewhere and we're gonna have a good time. But
yeah, no, that's the first thing I do. I think if I got the lottery,
my wife might. She's the sane one, so
that's
she might be smart enough to do that.
that's why you need a good woman in your life.
Yeah,
to hold you
exactly.
down. Like, hey, listen, dumbass.
Yeah.
But no, if I won the lottery, I would instantly take 50% of that and just throw it at my money management people. Like,
Dang.
figure that out. Figure all of that out so that me and the next 3 generations of me never work again. Figure it out. Don't lose it. Figure it out. Because if you do lose it, I can hire hitmen now. So figure it out.
Would you give money to your kids? I think about that all the time. If you had money, would you give it to your kids?
I would do one of those, if I ever have kids, what I would do is I would do one of those things where it's like they don't have access to it until whatever. Like, you know what I mean? Because as I've grown up and as I've like, to the extent that I can understand like how the brain works, how long it takes to mature, and a lot of that especially like came out of personal experience with mushrooms. So I was like, okay, this is how the brain is reacting at this age. I think about how I was back then, how I am now, how much further I have to go. I would do one of those things where it's like, you know what, there is a guaranteed this amount of money that's going to go towards like either they want to go to college for something like STEM, or they want to go into a trade, or they want to just do something or whatever. But I would never make it up to the point where because I think there's a lot of value in like being a server, like being a waiter at an early age. You know what?
And the stories you get from it too.
Yeah, well, it's the stories, the life experiences, the people you meet, learning, like all the soft skills that you get out of being in like the service industry or being in retail. Like there's something to that.
Yeah, you get gritty.
Like, well, you need to learn like that life isn't fair. Nobody really cares about you outside of like your loved ones. Nobody gives a fuck, and not in a malice way. Just people just.
Yeah.
Like, why would they have so much, they have all their shit they're dealing
their
with.
Their mortgage is late and their wife's cheating on them. Why would they care about, you know, like
real shit.
You know?
Like, why would they give a fuck about what you have to say?
Yeah.
Or how you feel or whatever. You are here to do a job during that time. Do your job. Fucking pull the clothes off the rack, flip the burger, get the beer, whatever it is. Do your job, right? So there's an element of that to it. And I would, like, the best case scenario, obviously, is like there's enough money there to where the kid is able to like go pursue what they want to do. But on the other hand, and I'm experiencing this myself, and I'm sure you are too, where it's like pursuing something you're passionate in without a safety net, that kind of adds a little more drive to it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where it's like, oh, well, if this music thing doesn't work out, I still got $100 million in the bank, so I'll be all right. It's like, I don't want to write today. Oh, I don't want to. It's like, no, but if you do have a passion and you have a regular job that's helping you fund that passion, and especially added responsibility because you're married now, so you have somebody in your life that you are directly responsible for.
Yeah.
Then it's like, oh no, if I want this to pay the bills one day, I have to write today.
Yeah.
No, I have to go to my gig. No, I have to stay 30 minutes, an hour after my gig to network with these people, to socialize with these people, to meet fans, whether it's 2 people or 200 people, to gain these fans and keep them as fans. You have to do all of that. It's not like
and I'd say
I'll
like
do it later.
90% of it sucks. And I think that's how you like realize what you really love is when that like, oh, I really don't want to do that. Like doesn't mean you're not going to do it. Cause like with so many things throughout life, like whether it's work, whether it's just, I'm like working on our house right now. Like if you see my truck, I've got a load that I need to take to the dump because we're freaking ripping out like roots and stuff and was hauling rocks all weekend. I don't want to do that, so I'm gonna push it back as far as I can. Whereas like with music, I can't. There's something in my head where it's like I don't want to do that, but I know I'm gonna be up until
Stop being
2 a.m.
lazy.
The second I lay down, I'm like, yeah, it's like you're such a pussy.
It's like you didn't do this, you didn't do that.
Yeah. And so, but I mean that for a little bit I was like, kind of fighting that, but I was like, no, that just means that this is your passion.
Yeah, and it's also like, imagine if you didn't have that drive.
Yeah.
Then you're just wasting your time.
Mm-hmm. Which I've got an addictive personality too, and that's one thing that me and my wife have talked about because we both, I don't know if she does, but I have a real bad addictive personality, and I've luckily am aware of that, and so I'm real hesitant with things that I do in my life, like nicotine. Like I love nicotine, and I don't think I'll ever get off of it now that Zins were created because that's a great product. But like with basketball was kind of the first one where I just like was addicted, and like the second that, and I was not like physically gifted in it, and everybody that I was growing up with was like bigger and faster and stronger than I was, and then it just like it had to snap in me to where I was like, all right, but I'll be in the gym longer than you. And I was like in the gym for like 8-9 hours a day. And I was like, I maybe could have played at a really low level in college, but I still wasn't very good. And so I just knew it wasn't for me, and I kind of packed it up and then was kind of an idiot for a couple of years. And like music was always throughout my life, like a big part of my life. And once I realized like, oh, I can make music myself, then it flipped it right back on. And, I would tell people, if you've got that addictive personality, it's a curse, but it's also the strongest tool. Because if you could just buckle down, you're going to outwork everybody. If you've got that thing in your head where you're constantly thinking about it.
Let's say you breed obsession.
Yeah.
And obsession could be a good thing. It could be a very bad thing, like you were saying, but it could be a very good thing.
Yeah.
And it seems like, just looking at all your stuff you've been putting on Instagram and all that, like it seems like you're starting to get some return on your investment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you've got all these shows you're performing. You got people showing up to them. Mm-hmm. You've got people doing covers of your song.
Yeah, that's my brother's girlfriends. That's Sister Baby, and I owe them a big thank you because they're kind of the ones that pulled me out of a slump where I was like, why am I performing and like why am I doing this? And they covered Pawn Shop Savant, and like I almost teared up listening to it because like it's one thing when I'm writing the songs and playing it because I'm like, yeah, that's what I wrote. But then hearing them sing it, like, took me back to that moment that I wrote about. And I was like, damn. I was like, it was a really cool moment. And Faye was like, you need to come out and perform. Like, Eddie will get you shows. Like, just let him know and everything. And so I did. And sure enough, I got the bug back. And I've been a maniac about it lately. And I'm hoping, I don't want to jinx anything, but I hope I've got some bigger announcements coming soon.
Well, it's got to be like a pat on the back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And a pat on the like, okay, you're doing the right thing. Mm-hmm. When other people are trying to not only just other people, but like people that you respect, people that you like, and quite frankly, those two girls are talented.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I've been had my eye on them for a little bit, and they're talented.
Yeah.
So having people like that give you your flowers is like, okay, yeah, I think I'm on the right path here. I think I'm doing the right thing.
Yeah.
So that's
I'm my toughest critic too. So I like. That's one thing that I think I'm very fortunate of is the way that I was raised because, like we were talking about giving money to your kids, I don't know if I would because, like what we were talking about, my mom and dad were both like they were dogs too. I did not have to worry about much in my life, but they were tough. Like I wasn't given anything. I had to work for everything. And, you get to school and you get to high school and you want to look like other kids or you want to, why don't I have these or why don't I have this? And then you'd come home and my mom would be like, 'cause that's stupid. Why would you spend $400 on that? Why would you, and she's like, if you want it, you buy it. And so then I was like, I got to work for this.
Learning the value of money.
Yeah. At 15, my mom was like, I think it's time you started working because you're going to be driving soon. And I'm like, my other friends aren't working. And she's like, well, you're not your other friends. And so, that's such an important, message. And now that I'm, 27 and gotten, like, I really enjoy my life, I still have that mindset of, like, I have to tone it down because I think, like, music is, there's kind of a sacred thing around music where you can't just be a bulldog and run through the wall. But, like, I've got that in me where I'm like, all right, what's next? What are we doing? And one thing I wish I could apply that to is networking. I need to get better on that. I'm so bad about it. I hate when people say that they're introverts and they're like, oh, I'm an introvert. Because I'm not, but I'm so bad at, like, small talk.
Well, I feel like, I don't know if this is how it is for you, but for me, it's like advertising myself.
Yeah, it feels so conceited to me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's like, it feels, conceited. It feels like, it's just weird.
Yeah.
But it's a necessity. Mm-hmm. But then, I don't know if this thought goes through your head, but for me, it's like, well, I want to show that I care and that I love doing this and I want to contribute and I show that I have some kind of talent.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, I don't want to sound like I'm better than anybody or that I'm like here to show anybody up.
Yeah.
Or I just want to be here and do my thing.
Yeah. Yeah, and accepting compliments is like one of the worst things. I'm so bad about it. Because, like, if you give me a compliment, I'll remember you for the rest of I'm like a dog. I'll remember you for the rest of my life. And the second I see you, I'm like, they told me that my song was good once. It could be 40 years down the road. But I'm so bad at accepting it. And I've been working on not dragging. I have this terrible thing where people, like, will compliment me, and then I answer that with tearing myself down. And I'm like, dude, you need to knock that off. Just, like, say thank you and tell them thanks for coming out. So that's, like, been my biggest thing now that I'm performing more. I'm like, you got to be better about talking to people, dude.
Yeah.
And then that's a whole new thing because it's like, you know, which is why I love it. And I think it fuels my mindset because, like, the second that I'm like, okay, I'm getting pretty good at performing, a new task pops up. And it's like, well, now you got to get good about talking to people after because you want those people to stick around. And so it's like, oh, my gosh.
Do you write down your goals at all?
I secretly do. Good. They're really big. My mom, if you met my mom, you know she's very goal oriented. And so I have it written down, but
good. Yeah. No, I just asked that because there's I don't know what the science is behind it or anything like that, but like it's proven, I think it's like 75 or like 80% of people that write down their goals are more likely to achieve them than people that aren't. Mm-hmm. And like, so I haven't gone in a minute because I've been so fucking busy, but there's a writing session over at Dry Heat on Sundays. And in January of this year, the guy who runs it, Steph Darnell, he's a killer comedian here, absolute fucking monster. He runs it most of the time. And so it was like the second or third week of January, before we started the actual class, he's like, all right, write down your 3 goals for comedy this year because, like, you know, you're more likely to achieve them and it's good to actually have them and see them. And as the year goes on, if you want to keep working toward those goals, if things change, if you achieve those goals, whatever, you move from there and you adjust. So I was like, okay, 2 to 3 open mics a week minimum. Get 5 minutes of material down, like a tight 5 minutes I could take anywhere that I know is going to do well, and then perform at Dry Heat before the year's over. Perform at the Comedy Club, and I did all of those by the end of March.
Nice.
And I was like, fuck. Well, what do I do now?
That's good.
Yeah, exactly. It's a good problem to have, right? Just like you were saying, it's like, okay, now there's new things to tackle. There's new things to get better at and just refine and get better and better and better so that, like, you know, when the time comes, because if you keep working, the opportunity is going to come eventually. Obviously, you need skill, right? Obviously, you need to be doing the right kind of work. Yeah. You can't just be, like, doing hard work for no reason. It's productive work. So I think there's a difference between working hard and being productive. You can keep drilling at it. You can keep digging to China all you want and working your best, but you're never going to get there. Yeah. You can't not physically dig to China. But you could take a plane. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like, okay, like what can you do? I forgot where I was going with this. I lost my train of thought. We're talking about goals and write down your goals, and it's just like, okay, you're building like a portfolio of everything that you're doing, so that with enough work and luck, obviously, right, with luck and skill, that time comes where it's like you get that opportunity. Yeah. It's like, hey, there's a really big fucking Zach Bryan's coming through town. Yeah. He wants a local opener. Get up there, fuckface. Yeah. And you got to get up there and do your thing. Be ready. And if you're not ready, and you bomb your ass
somebody
off,
else is. Yeah.
Right, exactly. Then you make the booker regret putting you up there.
Yeah.
Because this is off of like talking to bookers both on and off the podcast. It's like, you know, you can go up there. Now, if you bomb and you do poorly, yeah, you're probably not going to get booked again. But if you go up there and you don't have to slaughter or anything. But if you go up there and you're proficient and you do well and you're grateful and you make it known that you're grateful, it's like, okay, we can work with this guy again.
Yeah. Yeah, I think one thing that drives me nuts, which this might be a personal flaw, but the self-help people drive me nuts. They freaking kill me. Because it's like, it'll be some trust fund dude, and he's like, well,
oh, yeah,
you need to start your day with vegetables. And it's like, and I'm like, what the hell is, and I'm like, one thing that people don't tell you, or if you're not speaking to the right people, is it takes luck. There's a certain element of luck. And there's for sure you can will your way into it, but more than likely you're going to have one break. And that's where you need to work hard. Because like you said, if that call comes, you need to be ready. The drop of a hat and be like, all right, I'm there. And have however many minutes you need of that's going to kill an audience, or however many songs I need that are ready to go like that. Like, you know, like right now, I could probably bust out 2 hours, like no practice, just ready to go. But that wasn't easy. There was so many shows where I was like, it was horrible, or I messed the songs up in the middle of it.
How many years have you been doing this now?
I think it was since 2021, 2020 or 2021.
Okay, so about 3 or 4 years.
Yeah,
that's a lot of work,
and
dude.
Now's the first time I could like ever say where I'm like, if you need 2 hours, I could get up there and do it. But like probably 4 months ago, I'd probably be like, probably not. But it's just the obsession's growing. But it's like, I think that's the biggest thing, especially in, I think Albuquerque, is there's not big, I don't know for the comedy world, but at least for music, there's not big infrastructure of how, it's not a circuit like if you go to Austin or if you go to Nashville.
I think a lot of that is because you're coming from a place of country music, and there's not a lot of that here. You know what I mean? Like, there is for rock, there is for hip hop and rap.
Yeah.
But country doesn't really have like a, like there's a country bar, Dirty Bourbon.
Yeah.
They don't open, but they don't open themselves up to locals.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like,
and people want to hear Country Girl Shake It For Me over there too.
Yeah.
You know, I don't mean that as any disrespect.
No, but
people want to hear covers. They don't want to hear your original stuff.
No,
They're
exactly.
going to have fun.
Exactly. And they, like that, I don't go there often at all. Like I can count on one hand how many times I've been there ever. But like, just from what I've seen and what I've heard, it's kind of become like half country bar and half bar.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So there's not really like there's bourbon and boots, but like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? I don't hear about that place as being a country hotspot.
Yeah.
I've been there like twice. No, I've been there once.
I've never been there. I've heard a lot about it.
There's a bunch of like Raiders gear on the wall.
Really?
Yeah. So it's like, it's a country bar, but there's like some fucking little bit of hood in here, a little bit of whatever. And the guy who, I don't know if he runs it or he books stuff there. I think his name is Kay Shane. He's a friend of a comedian. His name's Buck D. Cause I went there for a comedy show that they put on there every now and again, and it's a cool little spot.
Yeah.
But it's like, I've never heard of them doing like an open mic for local artists, and they're not going to, because that's not their place. Like that's not the type of place they are. They're like a half like country place, half like nightclub, half whatever. You know, that's just not them.
Yeah.
So
that is one thing I love about Albuquerque, though, is that like, and I haven't been shying away from it in my music, which I've been proud of, is how weird Albuquerque is you've got people that will, which I hate genres in the first place. It drives me nuts. But like, you'll have country people, but then you'll have mariachi, and then you'll have corridos music, and then you'll have rap, and then you'll have like reggae, and there's just such a blend.
Yeah.
And which does, I think, make it tough because there's no circuit, but like, I've been getting better about just enjoying that and being like, well, that's just, you know, the weirdness of Albuquerque, and I love it. Like, I love Sublime, and I also listen to like, like 90s gangster rap, and I've got such a wide array of the music that I listen to. But like I told you, it's just country's probably what I listen to the most, and it's what my life stories fit in best with.
Yeah.
But there's no infrastructure for it here, so.
Is there a plan for you and the wife to move and to like grow out of Albuquerque?
I always say that we like. We'll go to places and be like, maybe we can move here, but it's just not Albuquerque to me. One thing that I need, I'm like, I need a certain amount of Hispanics in the place I live, because there's just, I've gotten so accustomed to the urgency and the telling it straight to me, because like, my mom's side's Hispanic.
Yeah.
And you grow up with a certain urgency in you. And like you go up to Colorado, I don't want to sit 30 minutes in a coffee shop. I want to walk in and get out. And, you know, I'm like, just little things drive me nuts. So I don't know if I'd ever leave.
I'll be honest, dude. Obviously, when I deployed, there's a bunch of Hispanics and Mexicans in my unit, obviously. But I remember getting back and flying into El Paso. I was like, Mexicans. I missed Mexicans.
Yeah, it just feels at home. That's why we liked Italy so much, is because you like walk in, they're like, what do you want? And you're like, damn, all right, I'll take that. And like it felt like home. Yeah. And so I'm like, I
yelled
need that. I went to Colorado and I ordered, because they always try and talk shit and be like, we've got good Mexican food. And I'm like, no. I went there once and I ordered chorizo. I'm a huge fan of chorizo. That's like probably 50% of my diet, and the other half is fried chicken. But I ordered chorizo.
Notice how earlier he said that he loves Mexicans and gangster rap.
Yeah.
Chorizo and fried chicken.
That sounds like a pretty good song. I need to write that down. But yeah, I go in and we order chorizo, and they bring out eggs with bell peppers in it, and my face was red. I was about to lose it. I was like, what is this? But so I don't know. I don't think I could ever like actually leave Albuquerque, and unless, you know, like if I did get that big call, me and my wife have talked about, you know, if I do need to take do a tour or like a little circuit away, like if I do need to hit
you will
certain
need to
spots. Yeah.
No, you will need to.
Yeah.
Like, that's a fact of the matter. Like if you're like, and look, I don't mean to say this in a disparaging way, but I mean, there are people, and I've talked to them, where they're musicians, comedy, whatever, comedians, where they're cool just being in their hometown. They play the bars, they play the local venues, play the local. That's all they want to do, and that's great. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. If that's really what you want, cool beans. Like, live your life, whatever makes you happy. But if you want to be like it's in the phrase nationally touring act.
Yeah.
You can't tour nationally if you haven't toured regionally, generally speaking.
Yeah.
There is going to come a time where it's like, maybe not regionally, but they're like, hey, want to come out to Nashville for a weekend?
Yeah.
Hey, you want to go here for a weekend? Hey, we've got a month doing this, this, and this. You want to do that? And it's like, well, kind of.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Because even if you're not going to get paid that much,
you
get the experience, networking, meet people, meet bookers, meet performers.
That's the biggest thing, is finding somebody who'd book me. Because like we said, there's not a country scene of, they're like, all right, we've got this amount of bars in the area that will take you. We just don't really have that in New Mexico. Well, one, because New Mexico is just not a big state too. There's not, it's like,
what is it, like 73% of the state is rural?
Yeah.
Right? Something like that.
And so you're not, even if you could go and perform at a bar in Carrizozo, there's going to be 10 people there. You're not going to make money off that. And which I'd love to do that if Carrizozo would have me. But I'm pulling on strings to try and get a show, a pretty big gig outside of Albuquerque, and it's still so early stages. But I'm like, if I get, like I said, I'm competitive, so if I get an in, I'm gonna be in his ear.
Yeah, and fight for it.
Yeah, and so me and my wife sat down and talked about it, because last thing I want to do is get surprised by it, and then all of a sudden, like, I gotta leave next week. So we've talked about what that'd look like, because there will be a period where it's like, she will have to probably keep her job to keep the lights on, and then I'll have to be going and touring. We'll be separate, which I'd hate, but if that day comes.
But like, look, I'm not disparaging how tough it can be being away from family. I'm not disparaging that at all. However, you're touring you're leaving for entertainment.
Yeah,
you're not exactly going like, it's like and granted, you could get a thing where you're like going overseas to like go to Japan or go to fucking, I mean, whoever's got a country circuit overseas, but you know what I mean, right? It's not like,
it's not a holiday.
Yeah, like you're leaving for cool reasons.
Yeah,
and eventually these are the things that are going to bring money in. So it's tough. I don't know. I'm trying to say this without sounding like super disrespectful, but like, I think that people, and this is a social media thing, maybe it's like ignorant things like what I see on social media, but it's like, it can get tough, I'm sure, being a touring performer, but it is what you make of it.
Yeah.
And I think having these conversations now to mentally prepare, and then it's on you as a performer to be like, or the touring act, to, not do extracurriculars that make the touring harder on you, make it harder on your marriage.
Yeah.
And
that's one thing that drives me nuts is people like, they're like, well, I'm going on tour, and it's like, it's like code for them, like, I'm gonna be a shitty person. It's like, no, you don't. Like, what the hell? Yeah. Like, one of my favorites is Charles Wesley Godwin. He was on the Joe Rogan podcast, and he's one of my favorites right now. And he's a wholesome dude, and he's got a wife.
What's his name?
Charles Wesley Godwin. He's from West Virginia, and you could just tell, like, by the songs that he writes and by the way he talks, he's just a wholesome dude. And is like, it's kind of refreshing to see, like, no, you don't have to be a shitty person when, if you know, his music's amazing too. But, he kind of, I like look at him as like a way of like, okay, if that day ever comes, I'm going to treat it like he did. Cause he talks about, being on the road, and, he's like, my wife will meet up with me at certain points, like if it's close. And then he's like, then we have a leg, and it's just like a vacation.
You get like conjugal visits.
Yeah. But it's really cool to see. I ran into, he came and performed in Albuquerque not too long ago, and his opener is Cole Chaney, and he's an artist that I'd heard a long time ago. He had this song Coal Shooter, and he was a smaller artist out of Kentucky at the time, and I would have never thought that he'd come out to Albuquerque. One, because Albuquerque just doesn't have a big country scene, let alone Appalachian country. And so the only country scene we have here is just like the big names. Yeah. So all the ladies want to go out there and just dance and shit. Yeah, like Luke Bryan. Yeah. And not my type of country. Yeah. But they came out, and me and my wife went and got breakfast the next morning, and they were at the shop. I don't know if you've ever been there. It's right by UNM. Amazing restaurant.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, tiny place, right?
Yeah. So good. It got chorizo mac and cheese, and that's my stuff. But we went and got breakfast the next day, and sure enough, Cole Chaney walks in, and I was like, I think that's him. And Lindsay's like, no way. And he like turned around and we're like, it's him. And so I went and talked to him, and he was a cool dude, and he was talking about Charles Wesley Godwin. He was saying kind of the same thing. He's like, I just got a message one day for him to come on tour, and he told me, he's like, he's a good dude. He's like, there's a lot of good people, but he's like really a good dude, like just morally sound. And
he's a good guy that got famous.
Yeah, exactly. And you don't see that a lot, which I think a lot of it is for things to be interesting, there's a certain level of crazy that they need to have. And
it's delusion. That's what that's what I've kind of boiled it down to. Mm-hmm. Is like I was having you know who Clark is? Like the R&B singer, her and Scotty.
No, I don't think so.
They're super talented, dude. And R&B, like soul, like that soul like type of, like I like rap, but like the more smoother like R&B type, not really my thing. Mm-hmm. She's great.
Really?
So it's her and then her boyfriend, I don't know, like boyfriend or fiance or husband, I don't know, but they're together. Scotty, he produces all her music, and he's a phenomenal producer.
Dang,
that dude's
cool.
He's crazy good. And why was I bringing them up? I am losing my train of thought. Say like a motherfucker. There's a podcast host in town. His name is Pierce, and I got really stoned on his podcast. And he was walking me out, and he's like, "Hey man, you should really not smoke a lot before you go to bed. This is gonna fuck with your REM cycle. It fucks with your memory retention, and it's gonna really fuck you up for podcasting and stand up. You need that." And now I'm starting to feel the effects.
Oh, you didn't listen.
What the fuck were we talking about? So he's talking about how you go on the road, good people getting famous. Holy shit! I mean, those are really good people that are very talented. They're gonna pop off too.
That's cool.
Why did I bring them up?
We're talking about crazy people getting famous.
Delusion. Thank you. Okay, because I was talking about it with them because they came in here about 2 weeks ago, and that's really what it is. It's like, okay, we all have passions, right? It's like, oh, I really love reading. I really love watching stand-up comedy. I love listening to country music. I love watching movies. But then, especially if you're like just like a normal person from like a normal background, you know, you don't have connections to the industry or you don't have a leg in or anything like that. It's like, you know, there's a step into fantasy, I think, where it's like, oh, I could do that one day. I think there is a step into fantasy, right? Not saying it's a bad thing, but it's a little fantastical.
Yeah.
Then to like actually start putting work into it. Then you get past year 1, year 3, year 5. And maybe you popped off and got big, but maybe you didn't. And maybe you're still putting in work for that wait, like we said earlier, wait for that time to come. What drives you forward, obviously, it's your love for the craft that you're into, the craft that you're actively working at and getting better at. There's a love for it, the passion for it, the drive for it, the good times that come along. There's all of that. But even if people don't want to admit it, no matter what entertainment field you're in, you have people you look up to, and there's a part of you in the back of your head that's like, I can do what they're doing. Just give me the opportunity.
Yeah, you got to have that fuck you mentality.
Right.
I talk about it all the time with, like, everybody. And I draw, sports are a huge part of my life. My dad's a basketball coach, and, like, I think the ultimate form of it is John Jones. Do you watch the UFC?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, like I watch UFC, but I couldn't tell you like all the fucking like the. I could tell you enough to carry a conversation, but I can't tell you the meat and potatoes of it. Like, did you see they released from like years ago the fight between Conor McGregor and Khabib? They released more audio from in the octagon.
Oh yeah,
did you see that?
Yeah.
Oh, the most gangster shit.
From Conor?
Well, from Conor and from fucking Khabib because he's a fighter now.
Oh, where he's
Islam
on top of him.
Well, no. Well, yeah. Well, that was already released.
Okay.
Years ago, where he's like, "Let's talk.
Yeah.
Let's talk.
Yeah.
Let's talk." Like, I love that.
I'm
right?
a McGregor fan, so that hurts my heart.
But where fucking Islam, they're breaking up during the middle of a round, and Islam's in Khabib's corner, and he's like, "Look at him. Look at him on his stool. He's dying." And without hesitation, Khabib turns around and goes, and he says in Russian, he goes, "You fucking bitch," and he walks away. And then, well, it was kind of dirty, I'll say, that when he chokes out, because obviously they hate each other.
Yeah.
He chokes out McGregor, and they and again, they had him mic'd up. You hear Khabib spit on McGregor. And he spits, "What, you fucking pussy?
Yeah.
You stupid bitch, let's talk. Let's talk now." And obviously everyone had to break him. Maybe we see what happens in the aftermath.
Yeah.
Where like they all jump in and all the craziness happens.
One of my favorite clips is McGregor talking about it, and he's like, "I got the last blow of the night." Because he took on 3 dudes after that.
Yeah.
And that's, like, he's got, which he had an upbringing in it. We went to Dublin. It's, like, literally just, like, a factory of a bunch of McGregors. Like, there's, like, a pack of 12-year-olds walks up smoking cigarettes, and I'm like, why am I intimidated of a middle schooler right now? Like, so he's
a pack of McGregors. That's hilarious.
They've got great haircuts, and they, like, dress nice, and they walk like this, and I'm like, what the hell?
But you're saying about John Jones?
But yeah, I think he's the ultimate form of, like, he's the best because he's got that level of craziness and delusion in him, and people will get mad and. Which, not excusing any of the things he's done, but
there's a few things you can get upset with the guy about.
Yeah, he's done some really bad things. But one of my favorite clips is an interviewer asked him, "Do you think you're a good guy that does bad things or a bad guy that tries to do good things?" And I was like, that was one of the best questions I've ever heard.
What did he say?
He's like, whoa, he was taken back, and he, like, you could see he kind of gets like a sadness over him, and he's like, "I think that I am a bad guy that tries to do good things." And you could see it in him.
That's heartbreaking.
He is, like, when he's being good, you can see that he is actively trying to be a good person, but he is the most dangerous man walking the earth. There's not one single person that could walk up to him in hand-to-hand combat and probably get away from it. People will argue that with me all the time, but
no,
in my opinion, he showed that moving up to heavyweight, because you get any bigger, you lose mobility, and he's going to torch you. And so you've got to have something wicked inside of your head. Yeah. And the only reason he is able to be the best hand-to-hand combat person in the world is because he's got that darkness inside of his head.
Yeah, I think there's a little delusion to try to do that.
Mm-hmm. And some people fake it. Some people try and make themselves like a... But you can just see...
Yeah, those fake tough guys, they get snuffed out real quick.
Yeah.
Like, there's one thing where it's like standing up for your friends, standing up for your woman, that's one thing. But, like, the people that... I mean, you see, we live in Albuquerque. Yeah. They're a dime a dozen. You go to Sister, you go to Anodyne, you go to Launchpad, you go fucking any venue downtown. Yeah. And you'll see those guys with, like, oh, what, you fucking... Did you knock into me? You fucking... Yeah. You always have those, right? Yeah. And that's a real issue, and it's unfortunate if you run into one of those guys.
Yeah.
But with somebody like John Jones, yeah, you have to acknowledge that there's a lot of violence in that guy, and there's a lot of... I mean, everyone has a... If there's, like, a gauge that goes from 0 to 100% of how much violence is in a human being, because we're all animals, there isn't 0% violence.
Yeah.
There are some people that have 5%.
Yeah.
There's some people that have 15 or 20, but you have John Jones, but they're knocking up to like the 90, 95th, 100 percentile.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh no, they are violence. And I think the only thing keeping John Jones from being 100% is there's people in his life that love him, people in
And
his
he's
life that
trying
care
to be
about
good.
him, and there's the innate thing inside him where he's like, yeah, I want to be a good person. That's heartbreaking, man. Like, that is a really good question, but to hear him answer with, I'm a bad dude trying to do good things, that's sad.
Well, it's sad because the viewer had an answer in their head, and you're like, what's he gonna say?
Yeah.
And you can see the sadness in him, and you see that in music too. Like, people will be all on board for an artist, and then he goes out and does something wild, or he does something that you don't agree with, and then people jump down their throat, and it's like, well, yeah, but the only reason that you liked him is because you liked the craziness in his music, like Rage Against the Machine, like Killing in the Name of. That's a amazing song, and they've went in a interesting direction. Rage for the Machine. But
yeah, no, they became they became. See, that's a special case. It's funny you bring that up. That's a special case of you have a catalog of music saying one thing, but when it came down to raging against the machine, you guys folded.
Yeah.
You folded. Like, I think, watch, I'll check it. I haven't gone to their Instagram in a long time. But, like, even now, I'm fairly certain that if you go to their fucking, their Instagram, you can't comment on their shit. Watch.
But at the end of the day, I'm like,
Yeah, see, you still can't comment on their stuff. And
yeah.
they changed that during COVID, where they removed everyone that they followed, no longer following anybody,
It's just,
and you can no longer comment on their shit because, and for people who don't know the context of what we're talking about, what happened before COVID, this is like, and I was going to go to this concert, and I was so fucking, oh my God, it would have been great. They had a world tour scheduled where it was them and Run the Jewels, because the lead singer of Rage Against the Machine is a regular feature on the Run the Jewels albums. And do you know who they are, Run the Jewels? Yeah, okay, cool. So he's a regular feature on their albums. And they were going to do this whole tour. They're coming to Las Cruces. And I was like, fuck, I'm going to go.
Yeah.
There's not even a question. I'm like, fuck, that's like, because Run the Jewels, they're in my top 5 rap of all time.
Dang, yeah.
And I was like, fuck yeah, we're going to do this, whatever. Tour gets canceled, obviously. COVID happens. They're like, we'll do refunds. We're going to reschedule. We're going to do all these things. Well, concerts start happening again. Live entertainment starts happening again. It's like, all right, when is this tour going to happen? They announce it. And not only do they require masks at all of their... Like, because there was an argument for, like, a lot of live entertainment was like, oh, no, the performer doesn't want it, the venue does, or the booker does, or the whatever, a lot of things out of their control. A lot like Ticketmaster and Live Nation, where it's like they can't control, like the performer, Dustin Woody's not going to fucking control the service fees on top of all of his ticket sales. He can't really do that, but he can say something about it. You know what I mean? But these guys were, like, fully backing masks, vaccine mandates when it came time for it, booster mandates in different states. So it was like, yeah, dude, when it came,
It's almost like they were sponsored. It got to it,
no, it literally got to the point where it was like, I started wondering that too, where it was like, did you guys take money from Big Pharma?
Yeah.
Like, because it's time to do what your band name is.
Yeah, it was so weird.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But yeah, you see you just all over the place, like Morgan Wallen just recently threw like a chair off of a bar in Nashville and almost hit a cop.
But he's wild anyway.
Yeah.
I've heard some wild things about that boy anyway.
Yeah, he's probably one of the most prime examples because he's had some bouts with getting canceled in his past. But like, I'm like, yeah, but the reason you love the artist is because they had that certain level of craziness to them, and because they were different, and because they were thinking outside the box. That's how you create organic, whether it's music, whether it's art like through painting, whether it's any sort of entertainment. There's got to be a level of craziness that draws you in at first, and then people are so quick to get mad at them when they throw a chair off of the roof.
It's like what makes this artist or this person, right? Yeah, artist. What makes this person unique? What makes them stand out? They are my favorite. Insert, musician, director, actor, singer, whatever. Yeah. What makes them my favorite? There is that flavor to them, that crazy to them, that makes them stand out to you.
Yeah.
You're completely right. And I'm glad that at least for all of the bullshit when it comes to like social media conversations, the common denominator is like, you know what? We can get over, antics. Crazy antics, we can get over that. That's fine. But when it comes down to like rape, pedophilia, no go. That's what I'm glad about. And now obviously like it's died down now. But like, 2 years ago you had the bullshit where like the whole MAPS movement. Did you hear about that? So minor attracted persons.
Oh,
they tried.
Jesus.
Yeah, they tried to like normalize pedophilia. We're like, no, it's a
they put their feelers out.
It's a sexual, it's an orientation. They were born like this.
It's like, okay. Hold up. Okay, do I think there is an argument for like just how, I was born attracted to? I am straight. I'm attracted to women, and as I have grown up, my attraction to women has grown with me.
Yeah.
I'm no longer attracted to 18. I'm not even attracted to like 18, 19, 20-year-old girls. Yeah. I'm attracted to women in their late 20s. That is what I find myself attracted to.
Yeah.
Right? I'm very fortunate my brain developed that way. Do I acknowledge that probably there are people that got, just like you can get mentally stunted education, like whatever part of your brain is like learning, like learning disabilities, your speaking disability, your whatever. That
but
can
that's
get
a
stunted.
mental illness.
Sure, that's a mental illness. Right, exactly. I think
like being a pedophile.
Exactly. I think being a pedophile, well, I know being a pedophile is a mental illness. Yeah. However, that is not, you cannot equate pedophilia with like autism.
No.
Yeah. Because why? Because autism is something that person, exactly. They're getting affected by it. They are dealing with it. That is an affliction they have to deal with. The other one involves fucking kids. Yeah. And the fact that there's anybody on this planet that's like, no, we need to normalize that and let them be a part of our society. And am I saying we need to take them fucking in the gas chambers? Maybe not. Yeah. But you can't exactly excuse it when you see it in public or you see it online. Like there's this page that I love, man. His name is like Goob32 or like Goobs32 or whatever. And I think he used to be a bodybuilder. But now he like trains bodybuilders and all that type of stuff, right? Very fit guy still, but he's more of a trainer now. Yeah. And his whole page has turned into, because one of the guidelines of Instagram is you are not allowed to be a sex offender. You can't be a registered sex offender and have an Instagram account. Because Instagram allows for 13 and above, right? But of course there are, because Instagram's not going to run background checks. And you see
parents that'll post like feel wild things with their children.
Exactly, wild shit. So what he does, and his page has exploded over the last like 3-4 weeks, but he's been doing this for a while. What he does is he has people in his follower section, they will send him profiles of people they know are sexual offenders.
Oh, dang.
And sexual predators and whatever. And he does it because it's all public record. Yeah. So he'll like look into them. He'll like pull their rap sheet, pull the mugshot, pull this, pull that. And he'll be like, hey, insert first name, last name. Welcome to the show. And he just breaks it down. Yeah. And dude, the most fun part about seeing his posts, even if you catch it like 15 minutes after he posts it, you can go to the person's page and it's either deleted, because he'll tag them. He'll tag them in a post. He'll tag them in the description. And you go to their page and it's the post is either deleted or their comments are turned off. And it's like, gotcha, bitch. Gotcha, bitch.
Zero sympathy for those people.
Okay. And we're back. So Shane Gillis, dude.
Yeah.
Legend. What I love about that bit specifically is I've seen that special so many times. So when he says, nobody fears my dick except for women in parking garages, I'd be hiding behind a pillar with a GameStop bag. Like what's so good about that writing is it's like there's tags, kinda, but it's like he's building a mental image in your brain. So instead of just saying something funny, he's putting you in a fucked up, because he's talking about raping somebody, potentially sexually assaulting somebody. Yeah. But it's funny because of how he is, and he's a goofy character. But then like the stigma of like, oh yeah, dorks go to GameStop. Yeah. And then he's in a parking garage peeking behind a pillar. So it's like that level. I bring all that up because that level of writing and that level of because I heard
Could
Rogan
so easily go wrong.
Right, it can so easily go
Yeah.
wrong, and you're writing this line of horribly offensive and horribly funny.
Yeah.
And I've heard Rogan put it this way a couple of times, where it's like a good stand-up puts the audience in this like weird hypnosis, where you're hanging on every word, you're paying attention, you're not tuning out, and you can't wait to not only hear the next word, but it's like, where is this going? Where is it going to take me? Because, like, there's a lot of comedy that's still good. Where it's like you see where it's going and you can't wait to get there. There's no less value in that.
Yeah.
But you just said it yourself earlier in the conversation where it's like, what if this takes me in an unsuspected place?
Yeah.
Or an uncomfortable place that I
Yeah.
didn't see it coming. And then it's like, oh, that's where it's...
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. The
one of my-
unexpectedness is the best part of comedy, I think.
like one of my favorite examples of that is Chappelle. One of his last specials that he did, he opens up with this like, and he's one of the goats. He personally is my favorite comic of all time. He has this bit about meeting Jim Carrey in the 90s when Jim Carrey was making the movie Man on the Moon, where he's playing Andy Kaufman, who's another stand-up comedian, legendary comic, weird, eccentric guy.
Andy Kaufman's
But
amazing.
okay, oh no, Andy Kaufman.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so when he was filming the movie Man on the Moon, Chappelle went to the set to go meet Jim Carrey. Obviously, Jim Carrey's this legendary comic, legendary actor at this point. Chappelle is still coming up. He might have done the HBO special "Killing Him Softly" yet, but I don't remember when that came out. Anyway, so there's nothing like a fresh can, dude.
Really? You're off the Zen grind?
So here's my thing. I tried stopping. This is gonna be my first lip in 2 weeks, I think.
Dang.
Almost 3 weeks actually. Now that I think about it, because I was like, no, I know this is bad for me, and I say this as I'm about to put it in my mouth. I know it's bad for me, and I know I should stop. So I started doing Zens,
Yeah.
and I quickly went from 3 milligram to 6 milligram.
Yeah.
And I was like, but lately it's just not been doing it for me. And
Really?
and some things have happened over the last 72 hours. I'm like, you know what? I miss tobacco. I'm gonna buy this can. I'm gonna do my best to make this last 2 months. That's my goal. Is 2 months.
Yeah, right.
Supplementing. Fuck you, first of all.
I've been there. I've seen the exact face that you're making. I know that's what's tough about nicotine is people are like, you really need to quit. Before Zins came out, for some reason people are fine with Zins, which is great. They'd be like, you need to quit. And I'd be like, I don't want to. I'm very honest with my brother too, because I'm like, as a kid, you're growing up and people tell you like, it's terrible, like everything. They're like, it's terrible, it's going to kill you. And then you try it and you're like, well, that was great. So I told him, I'm like,
Nicotine's not going to kill you. Tobacco
no.
will.
Yeah.
Tobacco will. Not
I told
nicotine.
him, I'm like, I'll be honest with you. There's a good chance you might try it, or there's a good chance you're going to try it and love it. But now you've got an expensive addiction on your hands. So just don't do it. Because I tried it and I loved it and I've been hooked ever since.
Well, nicotine, like, there's also studies coming out now that nicotine raises testosterone.
Yeah.
And I
Good
feel
cognitive functions. Yeah.
that's like a weird nootropic
Yeah.
type shit. But the real reason that made me stop chewing this for a minute was I was having some jaw issues, like some jaw pain in the morning.
Oh, dang.
And as I stopped chewing, that pain went away.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's mainly because like I have a habit of when I chew, I don't just let it sit. I clench.
Oh, okay.
So like whether I have this in for 5
like
or
with
10
your lip?
Yeah. Yeah. So whether I have it in for like 5, 10, 15 minutes or I have it in for an hour, I'm clenching the whole time.
Yeah.
And then just life stressors and all that type
Yeah.
of stuff. Then I'm clenching my mouth as I go to bed, as I sleep. My teeth grind and stuff like that. Now I have a mouth guard that I wear every now and again. But even like without the mouth guard, I've been waking up in the morning with no pain in my mouth.
Oh, dang.
I'm like, sweet.
Yeah.
All right, sounds good. So
Yeah.
we'll see. The
Yeah.
goal is 2 months, asshole.
Okay.
2
Well,
months.
Godspeed.
But okay, yeah. So with Chappelle, talk about like unexpected comedy. So he has this bit about going to meet Andy Kaufman, and he's getting told as he goes to the set, "Hey, he's shooting the movie. He's in character 24/7. He's not Jim. He only responds to Andy. Call him Andy Kaufman." And he's like, "What the fuck? No, I came
Yeah.
here to meet Jim Carrey. I want to meet Jim Carrey."
Yeah.
So he goes there, and he goes, "Yeah, I'm obviously not telling this as well as he is, but he's like, yeah, I went there. I called him Jim. He didn't respond to it. He only responded to Andy. Made zero sense to me. I didn't like it. Made me uncomfortable. And that's how I feel about transgender people. And the whole audience is like, bah!
Big U-turn.
Yeah, blows their fucking mind. But obviously the way he delivers it and tells his way
delivery.
better. But
he's a good, like, he tells you a story and then hits you with a U-turn. And you're like, I listened to 5 minutes of that for you to hit me with that U-turn. But Andy Kaufman's, he's got this bit with, like, the bongo drums. And he starts crying.
Oh, I think I've seen that.
And his, like, crying is going to the rhythm. And even that's a U-turn because you're like, he, like, goes up and he's, like, super nervous and he keeps messing up. And you're like, what am I watching? Like, plays it to the point where you know it's a skit, but you're getting uncomfortable. And then it all comes together. And it's, him and Norm Macdonald, I think, are two comedians where I do not even understand how you'd cultivate their acts, but just, like, love watching it. Like, Norm Macdonald's comedy is so beautiful to me. Like, just the journey that he takes you on.
There are comedians listening. Hopefully, there are comedians listening to this right now that are just clapping.
Really?
They're just like, yes, country boy fucking gets it. Yes, keep going.
Yeah, he's like, and I don't think, I know as a musician, you watch certain things and it seems easy to you, or like seems that you're like, I could probably do that, and then until you pick up a guitar, you would not understand how difficult that was. Like, whether it's timing or whether it's the actual motions or the chord progression, whatever. Like, Norm Macdonald and Andy Kaufman's two people where, like, I'll watch some comedians and I'm like, I see how they got there. Those are two that I'm like, I have no idea how you'd even craft that. Yeah. The one where he talks is about his neighbor being gay. He was talking to one of his friends, and I forget. He said that I forget which profession they were in, but they're like, I can deduct things based off of what you tell me. And he goes into the story of, he asked me, he's like, well, Norm, do you have a house? And he's like, well, yeah, I do have a house. And he's like, do you have a dog? And he's like, yeah. And he's like, well, I can probably deduct that you're a white male of this age. He's like, you've probably got a wife. And he's like, yes, I do have a wife. He's like, that's amazing that you're able to deduct that. And so he's like, so I went and I was talking to my coworker, and I was asking him, do you have a dog? And he's like, no, I don't. And he goes, well, maybe you're gay. And it's like, he tells it over the span of 5 minutes, and the guy's deducting it from him, and then the guy stumps him at question one. He's like, oh, you must be gay. And it's just, his deadpan comedy is just so beautiful.
So what you need to do tonight is go on YouTube and watch Norm Macdonald's SNL monologue after he got fired. Because he gets
his SNL time's great.
Yeah,
too.
Because he gets fired from the Weekend Update, and I think he came back like a year later, 8 months later, something like that. And his monologue is amazing. Now watch that, and then watch Shane Gillis's monologue. It is like, it's not copying. It's like legacy.
Really? Yeah.
Because like, you know what happened with Shane Gillis, right?
Yeah, with getting kicked off of SNL. Such a badass moment where he went back on SNL.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And dude, I was able to watch that live.
Really?
Yeah.
I tried to, but I forget. I think I was actually performing a show that night. So first thing when I got home is I pulled it up.
So good.
Yeah.
And it's like a legacy moment. And it's so fucking great. I don't know, man. It's how do I put this? Like, so you're talking about, how does the comedian come up with that themselves? And a lot of without sounding too fucking fruity, what I've found in writing, because I hate writing. I like writing when I'm on fire.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this could be really good. And then it's like, but most of the time I'm not.
Yeah.
But what I found is like, writing my material, it's like, it's like what's funny, but it's also like, what do you actually think about this? How do you actually feel about this? Because if you're just saying what you think is funny to an audience, like now more than ever, people want authenticity. That's why podcasting is so popular. They want authenticity. So then it's like, okay, how do I actually feel about this? What do I actually know about this? Do I need to research about this? Do I need this, that, and the other? And then like a really good comic that I've become friends with here in town. He started like a couple months before I did. Before or after me, I don't know. His name's AJ. Really cool guy. And we haven't done it lately, but we've gotten together a couple of times. We sat down and wrote together for a few hours. And it's not even like sitting down just like physically. There is writing obviously, but it's like, okay, what are you working with? What's your premise? And when I give him tips, when he gives me tips, and one time we did this with another comedy, Jake Otero, hilarious motherfucker. Every time we've sat down and done this, it's like we give our input to each other. It's like, okay, but how would you say it? Not how I would say it. How does it come out of you? Because
different delivery.
Because it's like, it's not even just different delivery. It's like, how does your brain filter that? How does your brain diffuse that? How does your brain, like, imagine like this word, like these sentences are a bunch of noodles, and you're putting them in the strainer. What does your brain strain that out to be? And then how do you deliver that? Do you like it? Do you want to keep moving with it? How do you put that in your voice? And I imagine you have found this a lot being a songwriter. It's like, what is your voice? Because what comes natural to you, and then how do you translate that to others? It's like that type of thing. It's really fucking cool. Because like, you know, I know for a fact that like if I traveled back in time and I started doing comedy a year before Richard Pryor, but I took all of Richard Pryor's bits before he even started doing comedy, right? They wouldn't be as good.
No, it's not you.
Because it's not me.
Yeah.
That's him.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing for any other, like, you can, like, you can pay homage and shit like that's why, like, cover songs are so cool.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, that's not you. And that's why, like, that's one of the things I love the most about stand-up is one of the cardinal sin is stealing jokes.
Yeah.
Because you're stealing intellectual
There's
property.
no hiding.
It's like, yo, especially now with there's like footage, like, okay, for instance, with the Trump assassination thing, perfect case study on parallel thinking, where it's like we're all thinking the same thing, but who does it better? For instance,
Cam Patterson, I don't know if you know him. He had a good bit on it. I was like, I'm so glad that he did.
He's a super nice guy. Me and him have gone back and forth on Instagram a little bit. Super nice guy.
He kills me.
He's a super nice dude. So you watched Kill Tony then?
Yeah.
He's super nice. I got to meet Uncle Laser. I went out to Austin.
Oh, dang.
He's a super cool guy.
What about the wild dude? The one that does the crab walk?
Oh, Casey Rocket.
Yeah.
I haven't met him, but
Casey
I like
Rocket
him. He's
kills
funny.
me. And he gets so much hate too. It makes it even funnier.
Yeah. but like parallel thinking. So great example is Saturday night I had a show. So I was like feverishly writing about like Trump stuff, Trump getting shot, what are the parallels? And one of the jokes that I thought of was about Stormy Daniels. It's like, oh, he got shot in the face. And my joke was basically like, he got shot in the facial area, he got a facial. So now him and Stormy Daniels finally have something in common. Right?
Yeah.
But then Mark Normand posts a reel about him doing a bunch of Trump jokes about him getting shot. And his joke was like, Trump got shot in the face, and Stormy Daniels said, how does that feel? Same concept.
Yeah.
Same way of thinking, but it's going in different directions.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm saying they have something in common. He's doing a direct quote from Stormy Daniels. Right? Parallel thinking. Now, way different thing if I see that post from Mark Normand, and then I turn around and go to a show and I say that same joke word for word, beat for beat, and I post it. Only a matter of time. But hey, he stole that joke from fucking Mark Normand.
Yeah.
That's not cool.
I told you I had some of that with Oliver Anthony because I was like pretty mad about things, and I was writing songs about, pretty critical of the government. They were like on deck, ready to go, and then he posts that and it blows up. And I'm like, damn. Like now, if I post that, people are going to be like, you're not Oliver Anthony, bro. And I'm like,
And that's one of the things about coming up. Just to really wrap this conversation as a whole is coming up is like that's one of the things we got to deal with.
Yeah,
you may have the same idea as somebody that's big. They've got their platform.
Yeah,
ditch it, move on.
And he did it better than me, and I have no problem. That's the thing. Is like, oh well, thank God he did it. I mean, even if I did it first, he probably wouldn't have seen it. But I'm like, damn.
There's an amazing comic out in Austin, and I'm telling this to every time this comes up. I say this is the truth. That dude. If he keeps going, he is going to be one of the biggest stand-ups around. His name's Dylan Sullivan. Dylan Sullivan. He is one of the funniest motherfuckers I have ever seen live. I saw him at the Mothership. Dude, So at this time, I had this piss poor little 45, 55-second joke about drunk driving that I really loved, but just my skill wasn't to. I didn't have the skill to elevate that bit to where it needed to be, and that it was confirmed for me when I saw him live. He did like 4.5 minutes, 5 minutes, I'd say, on drunk driving, and he accomplished everything in that bit that I wanted to. I was laughing so hard I couldn't breathe. No comic has ever done that to me. I've seen some killer comedians, both in Austin and here, that have made me laugh my ass off. I could not breathe with how funny that guy was.
Yeah.
And I remember after he got off stage, I was bewildered. I was like, oh, that's what that looks like at such a high level.
Yeah.
And he's only been doing stand-up, I think, for like 6 or 7 years. That still considered like you're still getting started. You're getting your groove going. You're really in the thick of it. When that guy hits 10 years,
It's gonna be unstoppable.
Monster.
And that's like one of the things I think there's a parallel, and it's one of the best things that I've ever been told is to finish writing the bad songs. So I don't know if in comedy if that translates.
Yes.
You got it. Even if you know the bit sucks, finish writing it.
Because you can still take out chunks and use them.
And I have a song, Okay, that it fits, like when I listen, like it fits together perfectly. But it was a separate guitar, and then the hook was from a different song, and then the verses were from a way different song. So it's 3, and all of them sucked on their own. And so I took 3 parts, and I was like, damn, this actually goes together. And it's one of the songs that get asked about the most because I'm a little more honest about my upbringing than I'm not a big sob story person, so I don't love talking about it, but it came together really well. And I was like, thank God. Like, it was literally a YouTube video I watched where they're like, finish writing the bad songs, because you never know when you're going to pull a line from one, and that's going to end up being the missing puzzle piece.
That's a great piece of advice, man.
Yeah.
I think it's a good place to end it.
Heck
Dude,
yeah.
This has been a lot of fun.
Yeah, I've had a lot of fun.
I knew it was going to be.
Yeah.
You're cool as shit.
Yeah,
Especially out of like the newer guests that I've had over the last year, one of my favorite people to talk to.
Really? Well, thank you.
So thanks for coming back and doing this.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm a big fan of the podcast.
Thanks, man.
I love your comedy. I'm going to need to get out and see one of your shows.
Do it, man.
Heck
It's
yeah.
I'm especially like right now, I'm not going to say that I'm great, but I'm doing okay.
That's good. When's your next show?
I've got a show, would have already passed by the time this comes out, but my next show is the one that I produce. It's going to be at Safe House on the 20th.
Safe House.
It's
awesome.
it's a heckle show. So
Okay.
basically the whole when the show gets going, because I'm going to do like 5 or 7 minutes up front as the host, and then I'm going to have another great fucking comedian that I love. His name's Jared Ostrom. Hilarious guy.
I went to school with Jared Ostrom. I see his stuff on Instagram. Heck yeah.
He's a great skit writer. He's a great comedic writer. Phenomenal stand-up comedian that does not get enough love.
Heck yeah.
He does
I'll have
not.
to come out.
Yes.
I'm excited.
I'm having him do 10 to 12 minutes up front.
Okay.
Because the last show that I did, I had another amazing comic that I've had in the pod a couple of times, Trip Stilnecki. He's off in Chicago with his family right now, and he's doing stand-up while he's up there.
Okay.
He's another guy where I'm like, if he keeps going,
Yeah.
he's going to have a Netflix special.
Dang.
And Jared's in that same fucking
Heck
category.
yeah. That's good to
So
hear.
I'm gonna do like 5 or 7 up front. He's gonna do 10 to 12, and then I'm gonna come back up and introduce the show of what it's gonna be. And I have a lineup of 5 comedians, and they have 6 to 8 minutes.
Okay.
But after 90 seconds, my producer, who's AJ, my producer is gonna make a sound effect, and so it's like a ding, like a box like ding 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 noise. And when that happens, they still have to do their set, but that opens the crowd. As well as myself, our 2 guest comedians, and then my producer, it opens it up for roasting and heckling.
I
And
couldn't imagine anything worse.
Okay, dude. I had a few comics on the last show that are a little scared, but they did so well.
That's awesome.
And I'm just like, yo, why were y'all scared?
Yeah.
You guys are great at crowd interaction.
Yeah.
You guys
Baptism by fire for crowd work. That's very cool.
And it's a lot of fun. The 2 guests this go around are 2 amazing comedians, Zach Abeda, who basically has like a stranglehold commercially on Albuquerque right now. He's doing shows everywhere. He's getting his own show back. Now there's another stand-up venue opening up. And the other guy, his name is Josh Fournier, killer fucking comedian, amazing writer. He just got done doing the Netflix is a Joke Festival. Like, it'll be a good show, dude.
Heck yeah.
So if you and the wife and a couple buddies can come out, dude, it's going to be,
Absolutely.
and it's free.
Oh,
So
dang.
it's free.
Heck yeah.
So it's gonna be a fun time.
Well, sweet. I'll
Where
love to get out.
can people find you on social media? Find your music?
I'm Woodman Jr. on Instagram. Dustin Woody _02 on TikTok. One thing, I'm working on a new song called Sweet Nothings, and I think it's definitely my best song I've ever made. I've been working on recording it, and I've been having a lot of fun, which is the first time I can say. I've had a lot of fun recording it, and one of my friends, great artist in the local area, his name's Sun Yodi. He's doing some steel guitar on the song, and it's sounding really cool. So I'm hoping by the time this podcast gets out, I might have a release date. So
Nice.
stay tuned for that.
Awesome. Well,
Heck
dude,
yeah.
thank you again.
Thank you.
This has been a lot of fun. Thank you, everyone, for listening and watching.
Yeah, thank
and
you, guys.
we'll see you next time. Bye,
Heck
everybody.
yeah.